Oh, wee wee. Back at spaghetti. Oh,
Hey, yo, welcome to the show. This is a monumental occasion. I have been trying for years, what is going on, to get music onto the show. And it has finally happened. Harry gets a W. Ah. What's going on, Tyson?
was it everything you imagined?
It was great. I got my nipples hard. I'm ready to talk about wrestling now.
There you go.
So how was your week?
Credit to whoever that was for the song. Don't
Free,
forget that part.
whatever the hell that was.
Good week.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy happened. That's always a good thing.
Yeah. Had to work on a food truck today. Get to pretend to be in the restaurant business.
Sounds like it's heat.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty damn hot. The best part is the generator went out, so they had to turn the AC off.
Mm.
So it was like, yeah, these little Vietnamese death camp fans blowing everywhere but on you.
The restaurants here, they got the like freaking fans outside. Like, I'm not eating outside. I don't want to be sweating and eating.
Yeah, that just sounds, especially yeah, especially in the summertime.
Yeah. Now some of them have got the mist. Mist is always good. It doesn't help though.
It sounds like that'd be something that you just want to go out and get and then go back in.
Yeah.
Like you go outside, get misted, and go back inside to the air conditioning. Like, oh man, that's a good mist.
Take a little mist break.
Really roughing it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you want to... Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you want to jump into Raw?
Yeah, let's get a little Raw review.
We got quite a bit of wrestling to go over. And we start off, like I said, with Raw in Kansas City, Missouri. The Big Mo, home of Tech 9.
Good for him.
Yeah. Logan Paul arrives in a stupid car, and he's with the idiot from WrestleMania, the streamer, and Patrick Mahomes. So I immediately started skipping. And then I saw the Judgment Day also appeared, so they can be filmed standing next to Patrick.
That would be I Show Speed as the idiot.
Okay.
Good following on this guy. I don't know.
I will, you know, I don't want to. Don't matter. Cole and McAfee say some shit on live Mike's ringside before they say some shit at the commentary desk. And then 3 useless bitches had a segment. It was, I don't even know who it was.
We had Liv Morgan.
Oh, right.
We had Nia Jax and we had Becky Lynch. We started out with Becky Lynch. She came out and talked about being the champion. And then She said that she's ready to find a challenger. Out comes Liv Morgan. Her and Liv Morgan have a few words. The highlight of it was basically Liv Morgan said, "If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be champion because of what I did to Rhea Ripley." And Becky Lynch said, "That's funny because if it wasn't for me, you would be champion because of what I did to you." And then out comes Nia Jax. She gets major heat. And she says it is her last night on Raw, which got a major pop. And she said if she's going, she's taking one of them with her. Liv Morgan steps up for the match.
Of course she does. Was that it?
That's it.
All right. So we move on to the draft, and Stephanie McMahon comes out. And Ross finally remembers that they have real wrestlers, and they select Imperium. SmackDown selected Jade. Raw selected Damage Control. SmackDown selected Kevin Owens. So I think Damage Control is the only one changing.
Yep, that's the only change. And I guess that is good for them. Change the scenery.
I guess. I don't know if there's going to be good things for them in the near future.
Yeah, unfortunately. Doesn't look like they're going to be treated well.
No. That doesn't matter because Gunther's next. And did he get a new theme?
I don't think so.
Okay. Sometimes they like play different sections of the theme, so it seems like it's new. Gunther's wrestling Xavier Woods for some reason. And the fact that he didn't immediately dropkick Woods and powerbomb him is just a failure on the Booker's part to me. He did chop the shit out of Woods and then stopped to talk shit to Kofi, which is kind of funny. And Woods got his leg trapped in the ropes. That fucked him up. Pretty much fucked him for the match. And Gunther, of course, uses it to his advantage. He starts stomping on Woods' knee. And he goes to the outside of the ring and then starts chopping his knee. So it's all leg-related offense from Gunther. And Gunther body slams Woods into the ropes. And then he pretends to limp, mocking Woods. I like that he's more of a just an arrogant heel.
He definitely is, yeah.
Like when I first started watching him, I feel like he still is arrogant, but he didn't have the extra, he wouldn't have limped like that.
Yeah.
I think that's just a new wrinkle. So Gunther gets Woods in the Tree of Woe. He repeatedly chops his knee again. And then Gunther gets Woods in a half crab. And then Kofi, he asks for a towel so he can forfeit for Woods. But then Woods says he can do it. And then Kofi just throws the towel to the audience, which I thought was stupid. Like, why'd you get the towel in the first place?
I thought it was a nice little touch.
Okay.
When's the last time we've seen a towel finish? Not that we were going to.
I just felt like he threw it away too easy. Like, if you're that concerned for Woods, and then, I don't know. Like, if you're trying to protect him against himself, and then he's, no. Oh, okay. Come on. And it certainly didn't help him because Gunther ended up winning with like a regal stretch thing.
Yeah, I do wish that they would have went with the towel finish just because it's something we never see.
Right.
Such an old school touch.
And then, of course, Kofi would have to get his ass whooped next week, which will probably happen because Imperium just seems to be in a never-ending feud with New Day.
Well, this match, basically they're telling the story because these two gentlemen are in the King of the Ring. So I guess they're proving that point that I don't know. They're just two King of the Ring combatants. I do think if you're a Gunther fan, I do think that
who's not a Gunther fan?
Well, I'm just saying, I think there's good things are coming. Number one, they were the top draft picks on Raw.
No, they weren't. The what's his face, or not what's his face? Not Jade got drafted number one. Waste of a draft pick.
They weren't eligible on SmackDown, apparently.
What do you mean they weren't eligible?
So apparently for the draft, they had eligibility. So like there were only certain people eligible to be drafted on SmackDown, and then on Raw there was eligible people to be drafted.
Didn't they have a draft on Raw though?
They did.
And Imperium couldn't be drafted on Raw?
No, on SmackDown. Okay, a draft pool. There was a draft pool.
Gotcha.
So like you couldn't Friday they couldn't take Imperium because they weren't in the draft pool. They were in the draft pool on Monday.
That's really dumb.
I don't know.
The whole draft was stupid. The spoiler, the draft was lame and a waste.
There we go.
And they're already not even adhering to it. So
what hadn't started yet?
No, they on SmackDown.
No, it doesn't kick in until Monday.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You don't listen to the rules? They said
no, I don't listen to the rules, obviously.
They said the draft doesn't take effect until the Monday after Backlash, which is tomorrow or today, whenever you're hearing this.
I missed that. I perused the written rules and it was just too much for me. Jey Uso said some shit. I don't really know what he said. Just seemed to scream a lot. But in the background, Liv Morgan and Dominic were seen leaving the same room. I don't care, but a lot of people seem to.
Yeah, Dominic is he's helping Liv stretch,
getting that knob slobbed.
Or that too. Again, she's getting stretched out for revenge. Like that's the kind of revenge person you want. You know, me and Rhea Ripley, we were friends once. I'm talking to Liv Morgan right now. We are close friends. If you want to, help, if you want to get revenge on her even more, come on over.
Well, we have more draft after that. Raw selected CM Punk and Braun Strowman. He's back.
Yep, looking jacked.
SmackDown drafted Bobby Lashley and Tiffany Stratton. And they automatically win the draft because they did not draft Braun Strowman.
What do you mean? Braun Strowman is jacked.
Logan Paul said some shit after this. And Jey Uso came out to say some shit. And then the Judgment Day came out to beat up Jey. Logan uses Mahomes' Super Bowl ring to try to knock out Jey, but he hits McTurd instead. And Strowman returns looking like he cut his own hair with like a rusty butter knife. And then he cleans house.
They probably used 2 rocks.
I could see that.
I've seen people do that. Just like pinch 2 rocks together and pull out each individual hair. I don't know. Or maybe Strowman sharpened it to a knife and then cut it that way.
Probably. He saw that Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro movie. Like, oh, I can make a knife out of a rock. I'll use to cut my hair. Control your narrative.
Yep.
So then Strowman and Mahomes get into it, and the little fucker actually bowed up to Strowman, and I couldn't skip to the end fast enough.
Well, his linemen were there with him.
Strowman was bigger than the lineman.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
I mean, maybe in height, but not in weight. There was some meat around there.
Strowman's meat.
And I guess Patrick Mahomes went heel because he willingly gave his Super Bowl rings to Logan Paul, who was obviously a heel.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes knows what a heel is.
Oh, he does. They talked about it on I forget what they talked about it, but you know, if you remember back when he went into Buffalo and he was like egging on the fans as they were beating down Buffalo. So yeah, I guess he's living that heel persona, and you know they're back-to-back champions going for a three-peat, so obviously they're hated amongst
He just
everybody.
he just needs to turn to his wife and his brother to be hated.
Oh, if he brought his brother in, get him on the mic, yeah, major heel work there.
Well, Gable and R-Truth finish having a business meeting, and Miz immediately appears and says Pierce told him that they have a match later. So R-Truth and Gable were finalizing something that's already finalized, I guess. Like they literally just shook hands and said, "Yeah, you got a deal." And then Miz is like, "Oh, Pierce told me." Who told Pierce?
He knew.
Okay. He watches TV?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely out of place.
R-Truth said some shit about getting drafted to the NFL, and that was the end for me. Zayn took out Gable with a kick, then presumably kissed him on the mouth when he was unconscious, because that's what he does.
Okay.
Booker T is interviewed by a hole. He's excited about the draft. God knows why. He's looking forward to CM Punk on Raw. Cue Drew McIntyre, who's pissed about not being drafted yet. And now CM Punk is drafted before him. It's like, I really hope they don't. I was thinking that they were like going to make him like Mr. Irrelevant or some, stupid shit like that. Drew McIntyre's Mr. Irrelevant. And then he has a little Mr. Irrelevant fucking label on his little graphic.
I don't know if you would have fallen that far.
Well, I thought there's a part of me that thought that's where they were going to go with it.
Yeah, I don't think it would have fell that far. I don't know how you justify that.
It's because they're trying to be cute.
I mean, if you want to do a Mr. Irrelevant, you would do some unknown person from NXT, and then they become like over.
Well, no, because you
kind of like a Colin Delaney type character.
Yeah, you wouldn't make any money with that. It's got to be somebody that's at least recognizable. You could do it. Now I'm going to backtrack. You could fucking do it with Drew McIntyre. It would just be stupid.
Yeah, I just don't see. I mean,
that's the thing. He's obviously a fucking elite wrestler, and he's all the way down to Mr. Irrelevant. Why is that? It's because he's got a shitty attitude. Maybe, Drew, if you stop blaming everybody but yourself, you would have got drafted higher. You wouldn't be Mr. Irrelevant. I'll show you who's irrelevant.
Well, I guess that could have worked. And then
no, it couldn't have worked. That's just an avenue that they could have gone.
Okay.
So McIntyre says Booker used to be cool. It's good to see Booker.
It was a good call out. He was like, "Oh, you've changed. You're the only one that, you know how you used to feel about Punk." And there was that little thing that came out a couple weeks ago where Booker was like, "Yeah, me and Punk almost got into it." So
I also think this really illustrates. this also illustrates how fucking huge McIntyre is, because Booker is not a small man.
Yeah, it's definitely big. Yeah.
I think that just kind of puts it in perspective. Big Bronson Reed versus the Ultimate Dads next. It's for the IC title. And yeah, Gable ended up attacking and beating the shit out of Sammy. He gets a Vine ankle lock. Reed hits a tsunami on Sammy. Sammy's gotten his shit pushed in like every week since Triple H had him beat Gunther.
Yeah, they're keeping the little storyline that he's like fighting from behind, ekes out the hard fought win each week.
I
Which
don't
should have
understand.
stopped with Gunther. I'm
Right.
sorry.
If you can beat Gunther, you can beat anybody.
I mean, it should have stopped with Bronson Reed, is what I was going to say.
Well, yeah.
Big Bronson Reed. Like, it should have been over. But it looks like they are building towards a triple threat match. I don't know. Are we going to Saudi next? Or is it the King of the Ring?
Or is it Berlin?
No, that's in September or something.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well,
I think we might be going. Well, it's one or the other. King of the Ring or Saudi. I think we're building towards a triple threat match. And I'm hoping that
it's actually Clash at the Castle.
Next?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Europe. King of the Ring, you're right. And it is in Saudi.
Oh, there we go.
So it's both.
So, yeah, we'll probably see it there. I would think Gable wins. I don't know. It's only been a couple months since Sammy's been champion, but I think now's the time to strike on the Gable heel turn.
Oh, yeah.
Or the next title match he gets, he should win it. But if it's a three-way, maybe they can hold it off a little bit longer, for a one-on-one match or something.
Or if it's a three-way, Gable pins Bronson Reed. And that sets up Sammy and Gable again. Maybe Sammy wants a rematch and Gable runs away from him or something.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like if there is that three-way, Bronson Reed is taking the pinfall one way or another.
Just why have him in the match?
Because you don't want to beat Gable or Zayn right now. You're holding that off for whatever.
But you're doing the same exact fucking storyline as Bayley's thing.
What's their story?
You got two people with an issue and then somebody else comes in and makes it a triple threat.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they have an entire writing team and they're doing the same storyline for both shows.
Yep, they sure are.
Or maybe not the storyline, because obviously the Gable heel turns an added wrinkle, but it's the same fucking thing. We get more draft. Farouk and JBL come out. Raw selected Mysterio and his Mexicans, and for some reason, Carlito's still associated with the group, which was dumb. Seriously, Carlito just beat the shit out of all of them. Why the fuck? Why would he even be considered in the group? Why would they assume that he's still there?
I don't know, especially since Vinci's already. He didn't get drafted with Imperium.
Exactly. Stupid. SmackDown selected the Bad Mexicans, so the never-ending feud is over.
It's over.
Until they cross over.
Rejoice. I was thinking, what if there's like a trade and then they go back to SmackDown?
Right.
Like, oh, you thought it was over. Just kidding.
Which, remember when Rey Mysterio came back and he said he was going to quit unless he was traded, or no, he said he was going to quit, and then Triple H said, no, we'll send you to SmackDown instead. That's all to be away from Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's drafted to Raw with Dominic, and he's okay with it.
Well, you know, he's gotten physical with him now. So when he did that, he didn't want to fight his son. He was fighting that thing. I am not fighting my son. I'm not going to touch him.
Okay.
Because that's when Dom kept hitting him and he wouldn't hit back. But now he's hitting Dom with no problem because, he's a deadbeat.
Gotcha. Well, SmackDown Raw selected McIntyre finally. And SmackDown got Shinsuke, and Damage Control's coming to Raw. So
potentially good for Shinsuke.
Change
the scenery.
So he can get beat by Cody again?
I don't know. Maybe, the change of scenery will be good for him.
No. In fact, there was a lot of speculation that he was going to get drafted to NXT.
Oh. Was there?
Yeah. Like, oh, my boy, you need to get drafted to NXT. I bet Shinsuke gets drafted to NXT.
I know we had that conversation last week, but I didn't know it was...
well, I mean, there's I don't want to make it sound like everybody, but they're on the twatters. There's quite a few people.
They copied us. There you go.
There you go.
We said it first.
Well, McIntyre comes out, and yep, he's pissed about where he's been drafted. And McIntyre reveals that CM Punk hurt him back at Mania. But unlike Punk, McIntyre is putting his feet up, or isn't putting his feet up, and collecting a paycheck. And then Punk's music plays. And Punk appears in a skybox. And he says that he ain't at home. He's right here, bitch. So McIntyre immediately goes after Punk, which is great.
He said that from the furthest distance he could have possibly said that.
And McIntyre didn't say shit. He just immediately went to the skybox.
Yep.
And then Farouk waits for the camera to get a close-up. He leans slowly into the microphone and says, "Damn!"
Which is sad because they were chanting. The crowd wasn't paying attention. They were chanting CM Punk.
I was paying attention. Farouk, I got you, man.
Yeah, I was like, here it comes. Here it comes. He's going to say it. And then, the crowd's looking up at... they're chanting CM Punk, looking up. It's like, pay attention, crowd. It's coming.
Alpha Academy had a segment. The pretty one's bragging about eliminating 2 whole people last week. So she's ready to be invited to the Cauliflower Alley Club. Gable comes in, asks her where her title is. Oh, that's right. She doesn't have one. So we're not celebrating mediocrity. Gable tells Otis and Tozawa to get their shit together. And Gable's going to break his foot off in Tozawa's ass if he does that dance. He's like, oh, if you do that dance.
That made me laugh too.
Yeah.
Like, if I see you do that dance.
Oh!
If only he had a shirt and elbow dropped it.
Right? Braun Breaker and Sheamus killed 2 minutes. For some reason, McIntyre hasn't gotten to the skybox by now.
It's a long way up.
Is it?
Yeah.
They have wrestlers come out from that distance, don't they? From the crowd? Like, didn't the Shield come out that? Okay.
See, the skybox is a little bit different than the...
It just seemed like you can make it down, especially if you use the stairs. You can make it down in 45 minutes. It took them a long ass time. Or how about use an elevator?
Speaking of which, a little side story. So, I do DoorDashing, and I deliver to this apartment complex, and it is like 20, 30 stories. And the guy, I was like, "Oh, uh, where's the elevator?" I'm telling the guy that. Or no, he's like, "Oh, I see you're having trouble finding the place." I said, "No, I'm just looking for the elevator." He said, "Oh, well, you can just take the stairs." And I said, "It's 20 stories." And I said, "I have a handicap that prevents me from going up 20 stories." And then I said, "I'm fat." Like I could not make it up 20 stories if I
Yeah.
like
That's what I tell people. I didn't get this gut by fucking taking the stairs.
Yeah. And then he's trying to say, "Oh yeah, you can just take the stairs right there." Oh yeah, 20 stories. I'll get right on that. And then I thought about it. I was like, if I had to, I don't even think I could. Probably make it like, I don't know, 5 flights, and then it'd be a wrap, and I'd be sitting in the stairwell, balled up in the stairwell for someone to find me. "Sir, are you okay?" "Yeah, I just had to take a nap."
You got anything to eat?
"Yeah, you got any refreshments?" Give me energy to get.
You got one of them dogs with the barrel?
"Well, how far are you going?" "Well, I went up 5. I got to do this a couple more times. I'm going to 20.
I don't know. It just seems like it's been ages.
Now, perhaps I can make it down 20 flights. Even that sounds like a challenge. I mean,
It's easier to go down.
I'd have to like slide on the rail for each
flight. So you can fall and break your neck.
Yeah.
Be a statistic. Well, anyway, the same bitches wrestled each other again. I think that was Sparkly Bitch and the other one.
It was, Maxine Dupree and Candice LeRae. They had a one-on-one. Candice LeRae wins with a wicked wicked stepmother, which is just like a curb stomp. And I guess more improvement is shown from Maxine here, so there's a positive. Now
we have 2 different definitions of improve.
Well, she did a kip up,
so
and she took her straps off, a la Kurt Angle, Chad Gable.
Mm-hmm.
She was flailing around like an idiot when she did it. She needs to learn how to take her straps off better. It was like very over animated.
She looks too like when she does her fisherman suplex, it's like a perfect fisherman suplex. You know what I mean? Like she sets up perfectly and she holds position perfectly, and it's just too stiff and it doesn't look natural. As natural as a fisherman suplex can be in a combat situation.
Fair enough.
I don't know. She just, if she needs time to fucking improve, why don't she just wrestle at NXT? Why is she wasting Raw time?
And better yet, why are people, they were promising that people were going to be moved down to NXT. Not one person got moved, unless, it happens after the fact. Everybody got called up and no one got moved down or drafted.
I thought they did. Because I read something that they didn't specifically draft him to NXT because they would feel it was a demotion.
Well,
they being the wrestlers.
I don't see how it's not, but no, they're a third brand now because they're going to CW. That's what you're telling the wrestlers, of course.
It just kind of depends. Like, if you're a Natty Neidhart, you need to be on NXT. Shinsuke could probably do well on NXT right now. You know who I like? Just, I don't know. I haven't watched like more than like 2 minutes of his matches, but that big fucking cornbread motherfucker with the North American title.
Oh, Oba or whatever his name is.
He looks like a fucking sentinel.
Yeah, I said he
looks like a real one.
Last time I actually watched NXT, which was their pay-per-view, Stand and Deliver, I said, yeah, he looks like a monster.
Yeah, he's not pretty like Hayes or even Wes Lee. They're just, I don't know, they're just a little too nice. This guy, and again, I haven't heard a promo. I don't know anything else about him, but just like the 2 minutes of looking at him, I want to see more of him.
He looks like a wrestler.
He looks like someone that'll pop you like a zit. He looks like somebody that wants to pop you like a zit. Like, he goes out of his way to look for reasons to just beat the shit out of people.
Yeah, it looks for... Oh, did you say something? No. I literally did not say a word.
So the Good Mexicans are interviewed, and they have mixed emotions about Carlito, but they're excited about coming to Raw. And then Dominic interrupts to remind us why Ray specifically asked to be on SmackDown to get away from Dominic. And Ray calls Dom Dirty Sanchez and then mocks him as he walks away in Spanish.
A little bullying your son.
Yeah, he bullied the shit out of his son. and then the rest of the Good Mexicans just pointed and laughed at him.
And Zelina Vega's back there. Oh, he misses his mommy, doing the cry thing.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. I kind of felt bad for Dom.
Yeah, savage. McIntyre's still looking for Punk. He's asking for directions. Like, it's just sad at this point to me. Drew finally reaches the skybox only to find an autographed picture of Punk. And Punk's music plays, and Drew is helpless because it will take another hour for him to get to the ring again. And then Punk says he loves Kansas, so he's not going to waste their time like McIntyre did. So Punk's going to wrap it up in less time than McIntyre was champion. Punk says he normally asks if if he had McIntyre's attention, but it's clear Punk is all Drew thinks about. McIntyre's like the ex-girlfriend Punk just can't get rid of. And Punk hurt McIntyre? Good. McIntyre prayed for Punk's injury and did that to Drew. I'm sorry. McIntyre prayed for Punk's injury. Punk did that to Drew. Punk thought Drew hurt himself tweeting because, that's all he's good for. And Punk states that he's not mad. McIntyre gave him purpose. And he says he was wasted being drafted ahead of McIntyre because he's still the best in the world. Or he was drafted ahead of McIntyre because he's the best in the world. And losers hope things happen. Losers pray for things to happen. Winners make it happen. And when I'm 100%, I promise I will make your life a living hell. And then Punk turns his back on McIntyre while McIntyre just stews. He even giggled to himself at one time. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to stick my dick so far up your ass." It's good shit. Punk's back, baby.
And the funny thing is, these two guys who can't even fight were the biggest story on Raw, and will continue to.
Yeah, I would say.
Sure of.
Definitely. I mean, Gable's pretty close. Just unfortunately, it's kind of it's not a main event story.
Well, it can't be. It's for the Intercontinental title.
Well, the Intercontinental title was a main event thing a couple months ago.
No, it was mid card.
Oh yeah, Gunther
It
could
is
have main
mid-card.
event at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Cody and Roman could have opened up night one, and then they could have had the tag match to determine the rules. The draft continued. Teddy Long and Medusa come out, and Raw selected Judgment Day. SmackDown wasted a pick on Naomi. Raw selected Dragunov. Meh. And then SmackDown picked the Harpy and the Whale.
Good pickup, Dragunov.
And I noticed sorry.
I was just going to say the internet quickly picked up that Dragunov and Gunther are on the same brand now. So they started salivating over that. Everybody recalls their NXT UK barn burners. Yeah. I don't know if it was one or two, but
it was all of them.
Everybody's clamoring for that one, that to be on the main roster.
Yeah, all of their matches were fucking exquisite.
I know the one I saw the one for the title.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they had a second or.
I don't know if they had three. Gunther won at least one, and then Dragunov eventually beat Gunther.
Yeah, so that was the one I saw. The one where Dragunov won.
Okay.
And he stood with his foot on his chest like he conquered the beast.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a hard-hitting match. I don't know if they'll do that same thing on the main roster. We'll see.
I don't know. The one where Gunther won was just ridiculous. I think that's the first time I saw a sleeper suplex thing.
Now I'm thinking of it. Maybe I did see that one too. Maybe I went back and watched it. I didn't see it like when it happened.
Yeah, if they go at, it'll be a good match. It'll probably be the instant match of the night.
Yeah, build a little story behind it. You can get that at Cardiff or Clash at the Castle, whichever one. Well, maybe that's the same thing.
Or I think maybe they build up to that Berlin show in September.
Yeah, that one. That's the one I was talking about.
June, July, August, September. Yeah. You got 4 months. More bitches had a match, and they broke out in a fight just before the end of the match.
I believe this would be the Liv Morgan.
Oh yeah, Liv Morgan beat Nia Jax.
Yeah, this would be Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Basically, Tiffany Stratton was at ringside for some reason, and Naomi attacked Tiffany Stratton. This all caused a distraction enough for Liv Morgan to hit a Oblivion on Nia Jax, and she got the win.
It's a good thing I don't care, because that would really make me angry.
Well, Liv Morgan is
not Nia Jax.
She's the number one contender.
There's no fucking universe. Liv Morgan could have a barbed wire baseball bat and she'd still lose to Nia Jax.
Well, you have to suspend your disbelief, as they say.
I can't with Liv Morgan.
Okay.
More drafts. Dudley Boys come out. So I guess they're out of former wrestlers that can read from a card. And Dudleys do their shtick, then get back to business. Raw selected New Day. SmackDown Pretty Deadly. And Raw selected some lady from NXT I've never heard of.
Lyra Valkyria, who I believe that's who it was, and she former champion. She beat Becky Lynch. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with her stuff.
Cool. And SmackDown selected some girl tag team.
Kansas Ray, Indy Hartwell.
Miz and Truth beat Alpha Academy, which I didn't. Oh, wait. No. Yeah. I wasn't surprised. There's no way they're giving Tozawa any type of championship gold. Maybe he can get the speed belt eventually if he works really hard. About 10 years or so.
Oh no, you got to overcome Ricochet.
Yeah. Judgment Day bicker backstage. Priest is obnoxious. Like, he's very bipolar. He's the bipolar Undertaker. Because, like, one minute he's friends with everybody, and then the next minute he's just like, oh, you guys need to stay out of my business. And is he a heel? What is he?
I think they're building him to be a face, and I think it's like ever since he's won the title, he's wanted to do it by himself. I don't need your help. I'm El Campeon. I've been practicing that, so.
I don't even try. There's an inflection that Latin speakers have that I'll never be able to duplicate.
But yeah, that's what it just seems like. Yeah, since he's champion now, he wants to do it all on his own. So, but they keep interfering. So we're going towards a split.
I wrote Dominic and Finn are pussies. I forgot what they did. But McTurd's abnormally large forehead had a ring imprint on it from getting hit by Logan Paul earlier. By both Super Bowl rings.
By 3 Super Bowl rings.
Oh, was it 3?
Yeah.
The girls killed some more time. I don't know if this is when they all came out.
I don't think I saw it.
Okay, cool. Draft and Aldis and Pierce come out. Ross selected Cross's team, and the fans booed mercilessly.
That's good.
No, that's not good.
They're a heel team, so
they're the only team.
Booed
they're the only ones that really got that type of reaction, though.
I know they're so over as
nobody gives a fuck.
Heels that they get
nobody
garner a reaction when they get drafted. That's good for them.
They got booed because they're going to be on TV.
Absolutely spot on, great.
It's not going to happen, guys. Stop it. SmackDown selected.
Cross got the mustache. I don't know. He's good.
He looks like an out of work porn director.
I know, it's great.
How does that translate to being a sick and twisted, devious wrestler?
Well, I don't know what his character is right now.
SmackDown selected Gargano and Ciampa. Raw selected Reed. SmackDown selected another girl from NXT. I don't know. I checked out some of her shit. She's corny as fuck. She's just a discount page, from what I can tell.
Well, you went further than I did. It was Blair Davenport. I've not checked out any of her shit.
I thought she had a cool look. That's why I even bothered.
I've only seen one match, I believe, and that's when she was in AEW, and she had a match with Britt Baker. And I want to say she used to date someone. Well, obviously she did, but she used to date someone, which was her claim to fame.
I guess the only upside is that she can't be a worse wrestler than Paige. So, but I did get a a dollar store page vibe from her. Because she's British, she's got the punk rock thing. I think Paige did it a little bit better. She's certainly prettier. Anyway, Jey Uso and
I was just saying I don't have anything to add. I don't know anything about her.
Jey Uso and Andrade and Ricochet beat the Judgment Day. And before the match, Ricochet did an advert with the director of Fall Guy. And basically the end goal was for the director to pretend Ricochet's entertaining. Like, whoa, I've never seen that before. Wow, how do you do that? Wow, insane.
Oh, I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah. Jay and Priest have a face-off because, they have a match on Saturday. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I saw Ricochet was going to be in the main event. I was like, okay, Raw's over.
Right.
As soon as they announced it, because I didn't know the main event going in, they announced it. I was like, oh, Raw's over.
If I'm completely honest with you, I think the Gable segment, certainly, obviously the Gunther segment and the CM Punk segment, I think that's the only thing that really had my attention. The rest, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about any of these people.
I mean, I was invested in the draft just to see where people would land.
They killed it on the first day, though. They started off with this big monumental speech about how it's a new era and how the landscape's going to change, and they just drafted people to the same fucking show that they're already on. What's changing?
Well, and I was thinking about that. They actually did tell us. They said the draft is more so, or what'd they say? It's equal about protecting your
stockpiling. Yes. Yeah.
So they told us that they're going to be drafting the same people. And then we were surprised that they did. Like, we heard that information, and then it's like,
no, we weren't surprised.
They just drafted the same. Nothing changed. That's what everybody online is saying. It's I don't think they did tell us that.
I don't think that they're surprised that they did. It's that I think that they're miffed that that's all they did. Sure, you're going to have, Raw draft people that are already on Raw, but that's your entire strategy. Ditto SmackDown. So it's not like Raw drafted Raw people and SmackDown drafted Raw people.
Right. They were protecting their brand. I don't know.
It was stupid. But yeah, that is Raw.
That was Raw. And we are heading into SmackDown. But before we do, let me talk to you. We are at not 500. Boy, that would be just a grand old thing if we were at 500. Never would think that that's going to happen. But we are at 453. Someone dropped off, so you can go burn in the depths of hell. But we're at 453 subscribers. We're on our way to 500. The only way we get there is by you guys hitting that like button and the subscribe button, mainly the subscribe button. The like button helps it get out to more people. Let's do some shout outs. Shout out to the audio listeners that's on Spotify. Shout out to the Twitch people. Shout out to the YouTube people. By the way, the YouTube people, they're top dogs right now. So Twitch, Spotify, you guys got to catch up to the Twitch people. I'm sorry, to the YouTube people. Shout out to the short form content people. We still post. Well, we're going to be posting on TikTok until it gets banned. See if we can get to 1,000 subscribers before that happens, which is running down the pipe. And if you are in the market to buy something on to WWE.com. In the description next to the like button, we do have an affiliate link. We do get a little kickback for full disclosure, but there is that.
All right. Well, we fast forward a couple days to SmackDown, and we're in Lyon, France. And funny story, I was kind of just fucking around on the internet, and I saw the clip of the crowd saying, "We want Roman." And I'm like, what? And I saw it was the Kevin Owens show. I'm like, well, how the fuck is this happening? And I saw that it was a special time. And it makes sense because they were in France.
Yeah, I completely got ruined on SmackDown because I was like, oh, SmackDown's trending. Why is that? It's like 5 o'clock. Why is SmackDown trending? Uh-oh.
Right. Well, various wrestlers are walking to the building, and then they show off a French announce team. And it's interesting that the French guys are drinking Prime, or at least pretending to. Oh, j'ai la oui Prime.
I'm glad you mentioned the French team. What was that guy thinking? That French announcer. Like, his hair, it was like, it was brown up top,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a harsh, like at a harsh stopping point, it just went gray underneath. Like, what are you thinking? Like, if you're gonna dye your shit, dye it all. Don't just stop. He
Maybe
like dyed the top, and then everything below that was gray.
How do you know it was dyed?
Because it was like a harsh line, and everything below it was gray.
Okay.
Like, what do you? Come on, is that how they do it over there?
It might be. They're not as vain as us pig-headed Americans are.
Well, I'm just saying, either do it all the way or don't do it at all. I clearly don't dye my hair. Look at that. I got some gray there. I don't dye it. I don't care. But if I was gonna do it, if I was gonna do it, I'd do it all the way. Like, be looking like freaking I don't know. I lost it.
Okay.
But I mean, it'd be like one of those people who you definitely know they dye their hair. Or maybe it was that maybe he had a toupee. That could have also been what was going on there. Don't even get me started on toupee people. Just let it go. Be a real man and let it go. You're not fooling anybody. Okay.
Okay. All of the ladies facing each other at Backlash are facing off in a big tag team match on SmackDown. So I love it when they chew their food twice like this. Jade's entrance was the only thing worth noting. She definitely seems like she's breaking out of her shell as a character. And the good bitches won.
Yep. They had to make sure to beat Damage Control before the pay-per-view that they were going to get beat on. Good thing they're going to SmackDown. Get far away from Jade, Cargill, and Bianca. Far away, because you won't beat them and they will keep beating you. And it'll happen each week.
Well, after that, Waller and Theory had a segment. They're defending their titles against the Street Profits. Theory smells wine and cheese, and Waller says it's the French people. And then Waller says the Street Profits are going to learn that Waller and Theory are the smoke after tonight. Jade and Not Jade had a segment. They don't really do her any justice standing her next to Jade all the time. And then Not Jade
Bianca?
up. Yeah. Just,
well,
she's shorter.
I'm going to give them I give them a new team name, and they're called The Agenda.
Fair enough. Man, I will say that Jade is a whole hell of a lot less interesting to me now that she's teamed up with her. Like, this just seems like the easiest, laziest shit you could do.
Yeah, because they're the agenda. They're
There
going to
you
be pushed. They're going to be on the Breakfast Club with those stupid idiots. Actually, I don't know if they're stupid idiots. I don't watch it. They're going to be on the Joe Budden podcast. What else? Do they still do the? Remember when BET used to have like the basement, and then they do the freestyles at the end of the show?
Mm-hmm.
They'd be on that. That was actually a good. I like those freestyles. Some of them are like legendary.
Yeah.
Ludacris, he went in there and he blew that mic up.
You know what? The great thing about a freestyle is even if it's bad, there's entertainment to be had. Like, it's not boring.
Yeah. Lil Wayne, he also cooked.
Oh, yeah. It's Wheezy.
I think it was called The Basement. Bring back the basement. Well, bring back music. MTV doesn't even do music videos anymore. Or maybe they do.
And well, there was a point in high school where they would play music videos basically like Cinemax would play porn, you know, like at the special hours of the evening where nobody's fucking awake.
That when it turns into Skinemax 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Sad thing is, there was a time that those were enough.
Right.
Before you got a taste of real porn, it's like, oh man, they're just showing their breasts. That's enough for me.
I don't know what he's doing. I think he's eating her out, though. I can use my imagination.
Yeah, that placement where you got the leg up and
yeah. I always like how they had the sheet just the one little part of the sheet just covering just the pussy.
Yeah. Yeah, they never showed any lips.
No. What? No, not really. They didn't spread them, at least.
Well, and then they anyway. But yeah, sometimes at one point those shows were enough.
Yeah. Shannon Tui was my favorite.
There you go.
Not Jade bowed up to Bailey for some reason. I don't give a fuck. Her face is stupid.
She said that she was. Is this post match or in the match?
This is when they're in the locker room and she starts talking about damage control, and then she starts just directing it at Bailey.
Oh, because Bailey used to be damage control. She says she's going to be done with damage control. But yeah,
they already teamed together. Didn't they already do this like pre-WrestleMania?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Nick Aldis talks to Carmelo Hayes. Hayes calls Aldis Slick Nick and declares for the King of the Ring after almost beating Cody Rhodes last week. And Lashley comes in, congratulates Hayes for an impressive match. You know, Aldis kind of seemed like Hayes was talking out of his ass, but he almost beat Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes fucking like did the shoulder thing, and unfortunately, they booked him to be on the same level as Cody Rhodes right away. I don't know if that does anybody any favors. But anyway, Lashley says that since they're on the same show, if there's anything that Hayes needs, just holler. And Hayes says, you know what? I'm good. I got it all figured out, but I appreciate you, Bobby. But I can stand on my own 2 feet. And Lashley says, all right, just remember, it's not about taking the shot. You have to make the shot count. And you lost. And Hayes says that, when's the last time you shot your shot, Bobby? And he gives a little giggle, which made me want to see Lashley just like dig his thumb into his eyes. And then Carmelo goes, or he goes to leave, and then Bobby holds his arm. And Bobby says, here's some free advice. Be careful who you disrespect around here. And turn back to Aldis, who's like, man, that guy sure has an attitude. And if Bobby Lashley needs more than 3 minutes to beat this little piece of shit up, then wrestling's fake.
Well, he did just go the distance with Cody Rhodes.
Okay. AOP beat Bait and the Lesbian. Cross helped.
Yep.
Cool.
I will say this was the crowd made it more fun of a match than it should have been, because they were into everything the New Catch Republic was doing. And we're going to talk about the crowd later.
Oh, we are going to talk about the fucking crowd.
But they made it fun.
Okay. No, they made it fun to a point. Anyway, Heyman and Aldis are backstage. Heyman wants to know if Aldis received Heyman's request. Aldis said he got it, and request denied. We learned that Heyman asked for one small favor: to have Owens and Orton pulled from the tag match at Backlash. Aldis wants to know why on earth he would do that. Heyman says it's for Owens and Orton's safety. Seems like Heyman has a whole lot to say, but he stops himself. He's like, you know what? I've tried. I'm done. Leave them in the match. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Aldis, my conscience is clear. Whatever happens to Orton and Owens tomorrow, that's on you. Aldis asks if that's by order of the tribal chief. Heyman's like, that's not funny. Aldis says, what? All communication to the bloodline in Roman must go through Paul Heyman. Does that mean Heyman's in charge? Heyman says there's a difference between being in charge and being in control. Then we find out Heyman hasn't spoken to Roman since WrestleMania. Pause.
Ooh.
Did you hear anything about Roman firing Heyman?
I did not.
Or is that okay? That might just be a rumor then. So then Aldis wants to know what the fuck Roman pulling out of the draft was all about. And Heyman says it wasn't Roman's call, it was his. And Heyman didn't have a choice. There's no way he can subject Roman Reigns to the chaos of the bloodline right now. Just like Aldis shouldn't subject Owens and Orton to the unspeakable horrors that await them at Backlash. Aldis then tells Heyman that if he has the stroke to pull Roman out of the draft, then he can go pull Owens and Orton out of the Backlash match. And the KO show starts next. Heyman, who initially said he's done trying to warn people, says, okay.
So many layers there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't quite get. The whole, he pulled Roman out of the draft for his own good. Because wouldn't, like, if Roman gets drafted to Raw, that's probably for the betterment of Roman Reigns. Because, you know, I keep saying Roman Reigns should take a very, very, very long vacation. And now I'm saying Roman Reigns should probably retire and not come back.
Wow.
Because, you know, what's waiting on him when he comes back is not looking good for him. So I didn't quite get why he pulled him out of the draft.
The only thing I can think of is so he couldn't be drafted with the bloodline. Because if you notice, the bloodline got drafted, but Roman pulled out. So Roman wasn't drafted with the bloodline. So he's kind of his own entity right now.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then they get drafted to Raw and then he's safe.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense. Would have been a Hail Mary play. That would have been a smart play if it happened that way, but it backfired. Now people are like, oh, this is why people don't pay attention. They're asking, oh, well, is Paul Heyman turning on Roman Reigns because he pulled him out of the draft? And why hasn't he talked to Roman Reigns? Well, because Solo broke his phone. That was his communication to Roman Reigns.
You can't get a new phone?
No.
Okay.
You can't get a new phone. If you go get a new phone, what is that going to tell Solo?
He wants to talk to Roman.
That ain't.
He needs to communicate with people.
Just think about it. Just think about it. Let's say you have a spouse and they break your phone. or you break their phone over some dude at work who's overstepping his bounds, and you break the phone, and then they pull back in with it, they get a new phone. No, you better get that damn phone. Give it here. Break that one too. That
Well,
sounds pretty
I know that
abusive.
phone will be on its own plan. Won't be on my plan. I'll show her. Trifling bitch.
Yeah,
So the Kevin
and that
Owens
does
show,
sound abusive though. So
the breaking of the phone.
breaking of the phone, and then she gets another one. You're like, bitch, give me that fucking phone. Oh shit!
Well, you got to grab her by the back of the head with a
I better
handful of
not
hair.
catch you
Like,
with another phone.
And bring your face close to her face.
Yeah, and then she has to hide it in her panty drawer, but not a good hiding spot because I usually go through your panty drawer to smell them.
Wow. So the Kevin Owens show happened, and the crowd singing Orton's music was a really cool moment, especially Orton's reaction. And then Owens comes out looking sad because he doesn't have sing-along music for the French people to make him feel special. Owens and Orton riffed until Heyman come out. And Heyman gets a great ovation. He comes out speaking French like this evil fat character from those Wig movies. He's like, "Oh, parlez-vous? Je bien la vie." Waving his arms with a big old smile, his jowls just jiggling. And I did write at this point that if the crowd brings this type of energy to these bullshit segments, Backlash is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, they were into it.
Yeah. Heyman does, well, then you can't really blame him because it's not like you get a pay-per-view every month in Lyon.
Yeah, it was first time ever.
So the international pay-per-views are usually pretty hype because of that. Like you hear like the UK users, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to make it to whatever." Like they expect to go to every WWE event that happens there. Like with us, it's just like, I ain't fucking going to that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, for them it's a must go because, and those weren't even, maybe some of those people didn't even go to the pay-per-view. Like they
Right.
SmackDown was their,
That was their
they saved up all year.
Mm-hmm.
Take their whole family to the pay-per-view, and then so then they had to go to SmackDown, and that was it for them.
Which is probably why they do the like the SmackDown being in the same city that the pay-per-view's in, so you can still see the same people.
Yeah, give them a little, probably like half the ticket price.
Well, Heyman does the thing where he asks if he can get into the ring and assumes that Owens and Orton are going to say yes. And Owens says, that, Randy, that doesn't mean you can RKO Heyman right away, right? And Orton says he knows. He's more of a out of nowhere kind of guy. He said it. Yeah. Heyman slinks back to the apron. And Heyman says, "Ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no RKOs this evening," with a big frown on his face. And Heyman says he understands that Owens and Orton don't trust him. And at this point, the crowd starts chanting Roman. They want Roman. And Heyman played it perfectly. He stopped. Then it looked like he kind of stared in the distance. And it kind of just looked like it really sunk in that he's all alone with these fucking wild maniacs.
Yes, these beasts.
And then Heyman looks up to the heavens and he just kind of nods ever so slightly. And he says, "More than you will ever know." Then he stares straight into the hard camera. "I want Roman too." Fucking legend. Heyman says he respects Owens and Orton. When each of them stepped into the ring, it was with Roman. It was competition. There was title on the line, and everyone involved understood that whatever Roman had to do to keep his title, he was going to do. But Solo Sikoa, who's only won one house show match since beating John Cena way back when, and Tama Tonga are different. Heyman tells Owens and Orton to not only think of themselves, but to think of SmackDown. Think of WWE. Think of these people. Christ, think of your families. Back out of this match now, please, please. Orton's and Owens start to mock Heyman, of course. And Orton asks Heyman who the real tribal chief is. Heyman's stunned. He doesn't know what to say. He pauses. He's like, oh, you put me in a bad position. I think, well, the whole world knows. And then Heyman's saved by Solo and Tama Tonga attacking Owens and Orton. And then Orton and Solo tussle a little bit before they're separated. Tama and Owens exchange bites. And then Orton beats the shit out of the security team for some reason. Owens dives onto Solo, Tama Tonga, and a whole bunch of security that rushed to get into one giant cluster together. And Owens and Orton stand tall as Solo and Tama Tonga flee. So why should Owens and Orton be concerned about these Samoans if they can kick their asses after getting sucker punched?
Well, one guy just tried to vehicular manslaughter Kevin Owens the week prior, so that might be one reason.
Okay. Street Profits shouted at each other. Then they said that they're going to win the tag belts, and Ford brought back his Solo Cup.
He did. And I was thinking, well, he did. He actually did it last week too. But I was thinking, they did all this for the Street Profits only to put them back in the same gimmick that they used to be.
Yep.
Like this whole Bobby Lashley group doesn't seem to. I don't know. They don't seem to have a direction.
They're called the fucking Pride.
Well, that's another agenda thing.
Well, it's stupid. Like that doesn't seem like D-Generation X or the Nation of Domination. The fucking Pride.
Well, the funny thing about that, when Logan Paul drafted them, he called them the Pride. And that was like the first time that's been said on TV. Like they, through the dirt sheets, they had the name the Pride, but they had never really been called that up until Logan Paul said it on Monday.
I could have sworn that there was a graphic.
There was, but it wasn't called they weren't called the Pride on it.
I thought they were.
No. Or maybe they were, but verbally
they never
been called the Pride.
To your credit, they never actually said it with words, but I thought they had graphics.
You're probably right, but yeah. Okay. So I thought maybe they had dropped that name.
Nope, they didn't.
I was going to say something else, but I withheld and just said that name.
Gotcha. LA Knight beat one of the evil Mexicans. After the match, Knight declares for the King of the Ring. Escobar declares for the King of the Ring too. And it looks like they're going to start something.
Yep, King of the Ring. We're going to be building towards that. I still have Gunther as the winner of that.
Who's in it?
I don't know yet. They haven't.
Okay.
I think they're.
I need to get a list going.
I think they're. Well, it's supposed to start this week, so I guess Monday they'll say who's all in it.
Right. Well, I mean, we know damn well that Escobar and Woods ain't gonna win it. LA Knight has a chance.
Yeah, the top 3 favorites that I know were in it is Gunther, McIntyre, and LA Knight.
Yeah.
And LA Knight's on the SmackDown brand, so he has a clear path to the finals. Oh, I
True.
think Sheamus is in it too.
Yeah.
Like the Raw side is kind of stacked, and then LA Knight's gonna have to like beat Escobar. Like what kind of? Oh, Carmelo Hayes, I think he's in it too. But,
Is he?
and I think Bobby Lashley's in it, or maybe someone was just saying that.
Well, Byron Saxton interviews Carlito, and Carlito says he has the same bitch that Escobar did. Mysterio chose Dragon Lee over him, so you saw that coming a mile away. Credit to you. Dragon Lee ends up attacking Carlito and screaming in Spanish.
Yep.
All right. Theory and Waller beat the Street Profits, which I didn't see coming at all. And they won legit too, from what I saw.
They did. I mean, there was a little behind the ref's back thing that happened.
You're talking about that roll on DDT?
Yeah.
That was a tag team move, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was behind the back, but it was a clean win.
Yeah, like they didn't use a chair or something.
Yeah, which was a surprise to me as well. But I guess they're trying these new champions out.
They only got room for one face of the agenda. AJ and Cody went face to face again. Nothing new, except Cody thinks AJ's an old man and can't hang. And then they did the we walk similar paths thing, but mine was harder because I wasn't in WWE. Styles then talks about how awesome he is, and the crowd starts to sing after AJ's done talking, which to me that indicated that nobody gives a fuck about this match, which might still be true, but I didn't know. I didn't know about this singing thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I guess it was because of the word phenomenal, is what they said on commentary or something. I don't know. But right. Yes, whatever they were singing, they did keep it happening.
Well, Cody said his path wasn't as easy or that easy, and at Backlash, AJ won't be looked at as phenomenal. He'll be looked at as Cody's first. And then Cody says, that's just too sweet. And Styles just starts to smile. And then they throw down their microphones. And Styles approaches Cody with the wolf pack gesture and a warm smile on his face. Then Styles slaps the taste out of Cody's mouth. And Cody kind of had it coming because Styles told him like a couple times that he ain't being friendly here. Like every time Cody has tried to be like, oh, I'm respectful and shit, AJ has spit in his face. Like at some point, you just look like an idiot. Or you get slapped in the face.
All right.
And the show ends with Orton, Solo, and Tama Tonga, and the other one brawling. Orton hits Solo with a chair. And yeah, I don't know. To me, they're not doing a very good job of making these guys look like unstoppable savages.
I mean, there's struggle, but we'll get on top as long as we get the dub. And we have, again, someone willing to commit vehicular manslaughter. Don't forget that part.
That was once. Weeks have passed.
It is. But it is also Randy Orton, who has he's starting to look a lot like his dad, which is weird. Oh, I guess it's not weird. But he's looking more and more like his dad each week.
With the squinty eyes and the kind of looks like
like the forehead wrinkles.
Yeah.
That are coming in. He's starting to look like his dad.
He's got his nose too. Well, that was SmackDown.
Yep.
So that leaves us with none other than Backlash. And that is, we're still in Lyon, France, of course. And various wrestlers are shown walking around the building. And I'm kind of over the arrival footage. Can't we just assume that everybody walks to the building at some point?
I don't know. That's their little, one of their new touch things.
They just do it all the time. It's old. And there was a decent video package to start off. And unfortunately, it really didn't do anything for my lack of excitement for the show. Not helping things was having Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and the Bloodline open up the show. I did take a moment to appreciate how cool the arena was set up. Like, it looked like the fans were sitting right on top of the ring. Kind of remind me of 90s Raw, where they were in that just theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very claustrophobic. It's great. Solo screamed in Samoan when he came out, which is always awesome. And then all four men start brawling immediately. And it gets so out of hand that security comes out to separate them so the match can officially start. And Owen stuns one of the security goons. So I don't get why the baby faces have to assault security. I don't get why everybody has to assault security. Why is somebody from security always having to get their ass whooped?
That's what security's for, I guess.
Okay. Aldous comes out and says, hey, break it up, you guys. Break it up. Stop it right now. You guys want to beat up officials? You want to not follow the rules? Well, je l'ai vu, Francois. This is a no DQ match now. A good old-fashioned street fight. So no four-man go back to beating the fuck out of each other. And the people that came out to stop them say fuck it and leave. So they all fight through the crowd for a while. Owens does a splash to Tonga from the barricade. And then Orton looks like he's going to do the same. Thinks about it. Hops down and slams Tonga in the steel steps. And he has a sheepish looking grin on his face. Tonga gets suplexed on the announce table by Orton. And then Orton and Owens start grabbing shit. Like kendo sticks and trash cans. And Owens sets
So you
up...
obviously know what was coming from the crowd.
Right.
When they start to get the plunder.
Well, they didn't have to wait long because Owen sets up a table ringside and Frog splashes Tonga through it from the apron. And Solo Samoan drops Orton through a table inside the ring. Tonga starts beating the shit out of Owens when Owens is already on the mat. Tonga and Solo work on Owens with a kendo stick. And then Solo does the Umaga ass charge to Owens. And Owens briefly takes down Tonga, but Solo's there with a quick trash can. Solo and Tonga set up another table. And Tom makes to go after Owens with a chair, but Orton remembers that he's in the match and beats Tonga's ass. Orton hits Tonga with an RKO, but Solo makes the save. And Solo takes Orton to the announce desk, and he brings him on the announce desk, and then he goes to spike him. Although I'm not sure how the announce desk being in the equation makes the spike more effective.
Well, I thought he was going to go for like the choke slam one that he does.
Okay.
Because, yeah, aside from that, it didn't make sense to be up there.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense if he did, like, tossed him in the air and, yeah! Orton counters with the spike with an RKO. And Owens recovers, starts beating the shit out of Tonga with a chair. Then he sets up a steel chair bed. And he lays Tonga on it, and then he climbs up the ropes. And Tonga immediately recovers, and it looks like he's going to make Owens do a flare bump on the chair bed. Then Tonga starts punching Owens. Then Tonga goes for a superplex, and of course Owens counters it with his top rope thing that he does. I don't know what it's called.
They called it a brain buster. We'll just.
Okay, cool.
It's like a fireman brain buster.
And I said, "Welcome to the WWE, Tama." That looked awful in every metric.
Yeah.
Owens goes for the cover, and that's when a Samoan, who isn't Jacob Fatu, pulls the ref out of the ring. So Owens is Samoan spiked by Solo 1, 2, 3.
And that Samoan is none other than. Hold on.
Tonga Viola. Isn't it?
Hold on, I got it written down. I don't know much about him, obviously, but
he was in.
It's Tommy Tonga's brother.
Yep.
And his name is Tongaloa.
Tongaloa. He was in New Japan with Tama Tonga. I think he is, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tama Tonga is the adopted son of Ming Haku. Mm-hmm. And I think Tonga, the other guy, is his actual son.
Well, there you go. So, yeah. So, obviously, this sets up now the fact that the Usos and the Tongas are on the same brand. Or I'm sorry, both in WWE. So maybe we get some kind of dream match there. And he looked big. So there's that. Again, I don't know too much about him. A lot of people were upset that it was not Jacob Fatu.
Oh, he used to be Camacho.
Oh, wow.
With Hunico. Fafita started as a professional wrestling career in WWE's Farm Territory, Florida Championship Wrestling. He was promoted to the main roster in 2011, where he worked under the ring name Camacho.
So he's back in WWE.
Good to know. He's been in TNA. I know him from New Japan. Well, I do know Camacho. Maybe we'll see them in a WrestleMania.
Well, like I said, there's the dream match possibility, if it's a dream match for you, that the Usos versus them.
These unheard of Samoans?
Well, you know, the New Japan crowd, they know them. Now, after he debuted, there was some clip that started circling.
Are you talking about the apron thing moving?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was a clip of I don't know, he did something with Okada where he did a punch sequence with Okada and is barely hitting him.
Oh, lovely.
And so, yeah, people were, oh, they signed this guy? I'm trying to find it. See if I can find it here. Because it's very relevant. And I want to share it with it. What's his name?
Tonga Loa.
But yeah, and then there was the ring moving thing. So, here we go. Let me share this with the people here. Oh wait, I don't want the volume. Oh, we got copyrighted.
For what?
Okay, here we go. Here we go, chat. Look at this. Bah! Bah! Look at him destroy Okada right here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Look at the absolute brutality that he's putting.
What is Okada doing?
Look. Oh, Oh, Okada, look at the fluidity. Oh, he's going. Oh, Okada can't take anymore. He can't take anymore. Stop the match. There we
Wow.
go.
There's got to be some context to that.
I don't know. I was like, God, that's what started circling. Like, oh, they signed this guy. And I was replying, oh man, he destroyed Okada. No wonder he ended up in AEW. Got him.
You know, Tama Tonga does the RKO.
He does.
Yeah. He calls it the gun stun.
Oh, good to know.
I'll have to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm getting. I said it last week. It's just like a lesser version of the original.
It's the wolf pack, as I've been saying. And so to go back to it, like I said, people were upset that it wasn't Jacob Fatu. But
I was disappointed.
I was, but I think he's gonna join Roman's side.
Or at least the Usos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't know. Solo's side seems like it's outside of Solo because he's the Usos' brother, but it seems like he's building towards like outside members of the bloodline that are actually bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So where Roman's side is like actual family. So Jacob Fatu's actual family, and then there's still Zilla Fatu, who's Umaga's son. We still got to get him involved. And then there's the Lakia or whatever. Got to get him involved. But what really brings joy to my heart is that the world is finally finding out what we found out in high school is that they're all fucking related. It's like if you see one, they're related.
Yeah.
And now the world's finding that out.
Yeah. Well, Bayley successfully defended her title against Naomi and Stratton. Stratton's cartwheel Alabama slam thing's cool. And she seemed to do a lot of Alabama slams. That's all I got.
She did. I didn't write down too much here. I said Tiff is a star. The international crowd really loves Bayley. Like every international crowd, just like they're so in love with Bayley. I wonder why. And that's pretty much it. I didn't even get to see the finish because it was so out of nowhere. I saw the replay that it was a roll up, but yeah, blink and you miss it.
There you go. Well, Jey Uso's warming up backstage, and Solo and his new Samoans walk past him. And then Heyman is there too. He looks like he's about to say something, and then just shakes his head.
Yeah, he gave like a help me kind of look.
A little bit, yeah.
Which was interesting. And it was also interesting that, the bloodline walked past Jay. It's like, you're on a different show, but you're going to get in this. You're getting in on this at some point.
Well, we had Jey Uso versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I really like Priest's entrance. Like the fire and the video of the bird getting vaporized into a bat or whatever the fuck it was. I thought that was awesome. I don't know if he's... The fire seems new to me.
Yeah, he's got a tweaked entrance since he's become champion.
which is good. He should
Trying to
seem
make
like
him
a
more
big
of a
deal.
big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's take a moment to appreciate. We are talking about entrances.
Yeah.
It's just me. Uso. That wasn't the crowd. They got the. Now I actually didn't like it. The fact that the crowd had the camera, they had the lights on the camera. I didn't like it only because it was a Bray thing, and it feels like they're moving. Well, I don't know if it's going to catch on. It maybe that was just the international crowd, but I don't know. I feel like it took away from Bray, the Fireflies.
I don't think Bray's good at mine.
Whoa. He doesn't need it where he's at. Golly.
Well, Damien beats the shit out of Jay for a while. And then Jay recovers and start getting some offense in. Then McTurd comes out for some reason. Priest starts yelling at McTurd, says he doesn't need him. Says, how many times do I need to say it? Then he tells McTurd to use his big ass head. Then McTurd gets super kicked by Jay. Jay hit a super kick and a splash for 2. He also hit a spear, also for 2. Priest hit his Razor's Edge for 2. And I wrote, who the fuck is Jay Uso to kick out of a Razor's Edge?
It's just him, Oos.
No, it's just the Razor's Edge. They don't know how to protect finishers, but for fuck. So then they exchange some more finishers. Then McTurd gets involved again. Uso dives on McTurd. Balor tried to help and got super kicked. Priest does his choke slam thing from the top rope to retain. And after the match, Balor and McTurd beat up Uso after. And after the match, McTurd and Balor beat up Uso. And then Priest shuts it down. Then he grabs Balor by the face. And he tells him to quit it. Then Priest makes McTurd and Balor stand next to him while he poses.
Yep. Further teasing the splits. And I don't know. He was exerting his dominance, I would say. I did like, though, that because the French crowd sounded like they had baguettes in their mouth, they didn't get censored. So they were saying, fuck you, JD. And it didn't get censored because, it didn't catch, I guess I don't know, because of their accent, it didn't catch it.
Well, after that, some French dude talks French for a while. And they
is that geek again with the dyed hair.
Yeah. And then they let us know that he said WWE attained the largest arena gate in I don't know what the fuck. They sold a lot of tickets.
The largest gate in WWE history.
Yeah.
And then I guess if you're an AEW fan, you got to say, well, you got to check the turnstiles. I don't know.
True.
Why does it matter how many people are there?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna brag about it. Oh, I think there's a big distinction between, mentioning it in a segment on the show than constantly bragging about it via social media, interviews, and other things.
Well, and there's always that segment anyway. Like every pay-per-view, they do that announcing the attendance segment. Except they didn't do it for WrestleMania 15 that we're going to be reviewing later.
I can't remember.
They didn't, because it stuck out to me that they didn't do it, because it's like, oh, they didn't do it this time.
They didn't mention the attendance at all?
Nope.
Okay. Well, Jade, not Jade, took away any or what remaining equity the damage control team had. And that's that.
That is that. Poor Asuka and Kyrie. And I did say to myself, boy, this match is really going on a long time. You would think, I don't know, 2-3 minutes is all they needed.
Right.
But I don't know. They let the tag team champions get a little bit of offense there. So I guess there's that.
Before they lose.
Yeah. Make them show that they might be a little bit of a threat before,
lose.
They get their titles taken.
Yeah. They did a King of the Ring promo. It's kind of cool. And then they did a Cody AJ video package. And
my internet went out, so I didn't see any of that.
Okay. It was nothing special. If you saw the 18 face-to-faces that they had, then you got it.
Well, mainly the King of the Ring. I don't know if they announced matches or something, but
it was just a generic. They showed past winners like Booker and Woods.
Okay.
That brings us to our main event. It's AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes, Undisputed Championship. And the crowd sings to AJ again. Holy shit. Cody used Brock's Kimura lock. And he won what could have just been a SmackDown match. And I got to say, I couldn't. After like the 18th time the fucking crowd started singing.
Yeah, they were a little overwhelming. It more so seemed like they weren't even into the match,
right?
With all the singing they were doing. What I kind of gathered is they would start singing during a 2 count. So anytime there was a 2 count, they would start whatever the hell they were. And it was in French, so I didn't understand what they were saying. It almost sounded like a holy shit chant, but or this is awesome, one of them, but It was neither. It was whatever they were singing. So they did that on every 2 count, and then for some reason, every once in a while, when AJ Styles did a big move, they started singing because of going back to the whole phenomenal thing. So they were rotating through the whole match between those two things. I would say the match, it started slow for me. And then, I don't know. I kind of got into it at the end. Like and I'm talking about the very end, but towards the end, it started to get a lot better for me, especially when Styles hit the burning hammer and Cody kicked out at 1, and then he started to fire up, and then so I got into it at that point. But yeah, just the start of it was kind of slow, and then the crowd singing. So pretty much the whole fucking match was kind of tough.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I think that's enough. Like, we get it. And then, it's like, are they even into the match? Or they just want to sing? Is this karaoke night now? But aside from that, it was okay. Good finish, though.
Went about how I thought it would. Kind of disappointed that the wrong Samoan debuted. What are you gonna do?
Well, there's more story to tell here, and we'll see where it goes. It's going to be I don't know, for that. Sorry, it's a thunderstorm here, so you hear a loud noise. That's what that is. Damn it threw me off too. I had it. Oh man, it's really happening out there. What's going on? Sounds like I don't know. That's going to be a bad joke. It sounds like a cow pissing on a flat rock. Or it's raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock.
No, that's piss.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Jesus.
Golly, the Bloodline opening match. I did think it was, for me, the match of the night, but that's no surprise to anybody since I'm a Bloodline shill.
I don't have a match of the night.
Since I'm a sucker of the Bloodline Deke.
I can't think. Yeah, I could have gone without seeing any of these matches, to be honest with you.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. That was Backlash. Can't wait for next year's.
Yay.
Well, how are you doing?
What do you mean?
Need to take a hydro break?
Oh, I can take one. All right. Oh, I'm drinking water. I was thinking maybe add a segment of what I'm drinking, but then I'd have to get more than water. So I was gonna bring in like a liquid death or something today, but we are in water season.
Why do you have that unnecessarily big jug?
So I don't have to keep getting refills.
Okay.
Trying to drink a lot of water, more water. As I guess you're supposed to drink like 2 gallons or 1 gallon a day or something like that.
That's an old wives' tale.
Oh, there you go.
I drink nothing but beer and whiskey. I'm as healthy as a fucking stallion.
Well, I like to stay hydrated.
Well, I guess that brings us to our wrestling rewind.
Retro review.
And this week is WrestleMania 2000 or 16. And we're now in Anaheim, California. And Lillian Garcia, as far as I remember, made her WrestleMania debut. She sang the greatest song ever written. But she also made me miss Boyz II Men, if I'm being honest. Although she did pump me up at the finish. She finished strong.
There you go.
Keith David narrated the intro for a nice little video package. And then they must have ran out of money because another dude ran out the matches. Especially the Fatal 4-Way Elimination match. It's The Rock, Mankind, The Giant, and Triple H. With a McMahon in each corner. And we're learning that the McMahons settle their differences through violence. Or at least Vince, because he's shown hitting all of them. And we also learned that Triple H didn't waste any time putting a ring on Stephanie's finger after she started coming around. This is her WrestleMania debut, by the way.
Well, remember, because they had that Vegas wedding where she was passed out.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then, then she started to come around.
Yeah, Hunter.
Because she was supposed to marry Kane.
That sounds right.
Yeah, she was supposed to marry Kane, and he's like,
No. She was supposed to marry Test.
Oh yeah, Test. That's who it was. It's like, well, you can't get married because you're already married. And then they played the.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Stephanie hated it at first, but then she got the Stockholm syndrome, and then they became a powerful couple. This also explains why China is teaming with Too Cool later.
Yep, this was around the time where it became a thing.
Keith David closed it out with the narration, and I want more Keith David. Please. The Godfather and D-Lo come out with Ice-T. Ice-T comes out rapping about the trials and tribulations of pimping. And I honestly forgot that Ice-T does music. Ice-T tells everybody to grab their bitches. And this is the early version of The Godfather, which is so much better. I hated the peacock colors and shit, but I like the white and the sequins and whatever.
The way oversized shirt.
Yeah. With the cowboy boots and the fucking baggy pants. It just looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the hair. Just everything about him was just inconvenient for wrestling. It was great. It was a great look. Godfather tells us to light up a blunt and says pimpin' ain't easy. And yeah. Ice-T, all he did was say pimpin', pimpin', pimpin' ain't easy. Pimpin', pimpin', pimpin' ain't easy. And we got to see the hose for the first time. They just kind of walked around, didn't really do anything. They didn't even form a train.
Well, I was sad that I didn't get to hear the Godfather's Ho Train music.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good shit. Well, D-Lo and the Godfather faced Bull Buchanan and the Big Boss Man. And Boss Man survived his lynching at the hands of the Undertaker last year, so that was good.
And I was going to tell you, I'm glad I didn't say it because I would have looked like... Anyway, last week when we were talking about the WrestleMania coming up, and I said, well, who won't be on the card? Big Boss Man. I was like, how's he back already? Did they do like a seance or something?
I don't know. I wouldn't have been.
We saw him die.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the next Raw.
Just there.
Yeah. Like, I sure did lose.
No, I didn't.
Godfather's wrestling in ridiculous attire, but it works. JR suggested that Godfather may have worn that attire in private. D-Lo knocked Buchanan on his ass, told him he sucked. And we learned that the Aggression CD came out at this time. Also, the XFL is in its infancy.
Aggression CD is underrated.
Or
maybe it's not underrated. It's a pretty good album.
Yeah, I think that was the only album that they had that was worth anything.
Like the Stone Cold Disturbed and
Method Man with The Rock.
Yeah. 3-6. Well, yeah, 3-6 was Mark Henry's, which he still uses. Like, nope, that's going to be it for me. I don't need a new song.
Well, Bossman and Buchanan literally went out of nowhere with a Bossman slam and a leg drop. And Bossman and Buchanan chase off the hose. Not really much of a match. There was a moment where Buchanan crotched himself on the ropes. Like, really poorly. Like, some people look like they just fall. He clearly just sat on the ropes gingerly.
Well, I guess to balance that out, there was a moment where and again, this Bull Buchanan guy is probably easily 300 pounds. And there's a moment he, from the ground, leapt up a la LA Knight to the top rope, from the ground to the top rope, and then did a springboard clothesline off of that. So that was pretty impressive.
I just think it's a damn dirty shame that they didn't keep this version of The Godfather. They had to clean him up. Make him safe for TV. Oh, God. Come on, pal. I gotta have white people like him, too. Triple H and Stephanie had a backstage segment. And this is the first time we're seeing the power couple. And they just brag about being married and having championship belts. And Triple H is the WWF champion. Stephanie is the newly crowned women's champion. And I would so eat a sweet potato pie off of Stephanie.
Yeah, this is definitely prime Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, it is.
I saw someone um on the Twitter machine. They were like, "Remember when Stephanie McMahon was hot?" And I was like, even today, I mean, she ain't bad.
She's just
I'd
older.
still, I'd still get it.
Oh yeah,
No disrespect to Triple H, of course.
Stephanie McMahon. They cut to earlier footage. The referees are going over the hardcore battle royal rules with the wrestlers. And the only thing I really got from this is Taz is in the WWF, and he looked like a rebellious teenager. And based off the rules, the WWF assures us that this will be a clusterfuck.
Boy, was it.
Yes, it was. So that brings us to the hardcore battle royal. Our participants are Taz, Viscera, the Mean Street Posse, because they have to come out as one, Hardcore Holly, Kai and Tai. Like, seriously, I didn't understand why they came out as teams for a singles title. Headbangers and the Acolytes, and then Crash Holly, who's the champion. And he uses Hardcore Holly's music.
Which I did like.
Yeah. And the rules is it's a 15-man Iron Man match. Whoever has the belt at the end is a champion. And Taz pinned Crash immediately. Viscera immediately pinned Taz. No wonder he never did anything. Crash got blood. Bradshaw beat the fuck out of everyone with a cookie sheet. And then he powerbombed Taka, which was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. He just picked that little fucker up and slammed his ass to the mat. Farouk breaks a 2x4 over Viscera's back. And then Bradshaw nails him with a shoulder tackle from the top rope. And then for some reason, APA makes Kai and Tai cover Viscera. And Funaki is named the champion. And Taka and Funaki start fighting. Funaki then runs away with the Japan flag, and everyone chases him. Like, I thought they were going to have Kai and Tai pin him so that APA could just beat the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that they just had them cover him for no reason whatsoever. There's still 7 minutes left at this point. Mean Street Posse pinned Funaki. Then they pinned each other. Headbanger pinned the Mean Street Posse. And man, the Headbangers looks like they've been hanging out with Gold Dust.
That's that gothic stuff.
That ain't gothic. That's
They're
they're wearing brassieres and shit.
Yes, that's that goth stuff you don't understand.
Okay.
It's like the Marilyn Manson crowd, or they get real weird.
Well, then they all fight back to the ring. Mean Street Posse gets the belt back after hitting a headbanger with the fire extinguisher. And Mean Street Posse is bleeding. I don't know which one it is. Taz pinned Mean Street Posse, and Hardcore Holly kicked Taz in the head while he was making the pin. But he still pinned him. I just thought it was funny. And Taz pinned Mean Street Posse. Oh, wait. Taz keeps trying to pin people as champion like an idiot instead of preserving his championship. I don't know what that was all about. And
He probably didn't know what the hell was going on.
that makes sense. A Crash pins Taz 30 seconds left. Taz gets Crash into a Taz mission until there's 10 seconds left. Hardcore Holly comes with a jar of candy, smashes it over Taz and Crash. Their heads. Smashes it over their heads. And Holly wins. The ref count was awkward as fuck. And JR and the King are confused because they think Crash won somehow. JR is screaming that Crash got his shoulder up. And Crash was as lifeless as Hulk Hogan was in that one pay-per-view. what happened was the referee didn't slap his hand on the mat on the 3 count.
Yeah, he didn't count the 3. I guess it was supposed to be a thing where the time runs out, but it didn't. So the ref just stopped the count. But then he still awarded Hardcore Holly the title.
Yeah,
But I would
don't
say
know.
you did pretty good on that whole thing. As my notes is, this was a clusterfuck. Good luck keeping up with all the shit that happened in this match. But Hardcore Holly won at the end.
There you go. Well, I do a lot of skipping for the modern stuff, so most of my energy goes into this at least. If I'm going to put any dedication into one thing, it's going to be the stuff I like.
There you go.
And they did a WrestleMania fan access spot. China and Y2J said how awesome it was. Marlena and Big Show and other wrestlers were there. I ended up fast forwarding to the end because it was a long fucking segment.
Yeah, it was really just filler.
Boy, was it.
The highlight of it was Marlena had underboob showing.
Yeah. Well, then we see a close-up of a pair of tits.
From what underboob to overboob.
Yes. And of course, it can only be Trish Stratus. And this kind of, I don't know. I think people forget that that's all she was a pair of tits until they try to convince us that she knew how to wrestle. But that's
solidified it. I mean, they were good. Don't give.
Yeah. I'm not throwing shade, but that's all she was known for her tits. TNA tits, showing off her tits, and she was eye candy. The definition of it. I don't know. It just it kind of makes me cringe when they say that how she's a legend, but she's not really. To me.
Well, she became women's champion.
So did Stephanie McMahon.
Her and Lita had so many back and forth matches.
Yeah. Lita was okay.
She was.
I mean, fuck, marry, kill. Lita ain't walking away. Anyway, so Steve Blackman and Al Snow are facing TNA. Earlier, Blackman and Snow had a moment in the bathroom. Something Al didn't want Steve to know about, flushed a toilet. And Blackman told Al to quit screwing around. And Blackman and Snow come out to African tribal music. And Snow stops everything so he can bring out a Mexican dressed up like a wedge of cheese. And Al starts chanting, "Let's go head cheese," while the Mexican in the cheese wedge costume starts slapping his ass. Oh, the cheese costume was assless for some unholy reason.
Yes.
Somebody took the time to make an assless cheese wedge costume. God knows why.
It's contextual to the time we were in, I guess.
No, there's no context. There's no time for an assless cheese wedge costume. I want to know what its original purpose is for.
I don't know.
All right. We'll test one out of nowhere with an elbow drop. The wedge of cheese kept trying to fondle Stratus throughout the match. After the match, Snow gets on the mic, tells Blackman he was right. The guy dressed up as a wedge of cheese was a stupid idea. No shit. Then Snow brings the cheese into the ring, says it's time to cut the cheese. And then Snow hits the cheese with the microphone. I thought it was kind of cool how so many decades earlier than, Tony Khan's emergence into the wrestling scene, and they had sound effects for the microphone strike.
That thing where it sounded like it was going out.
I didn't say it was good sound effects, but it was sound effects.
They did.
And then it had another sound effect when he threw it down. So maybe that was the actual mic sound effect.
Yeah.
So then Snow holds up the cheese so Blackman can assassinate him with a running scissor kick. And then they both do their double team backbreaker leg drop combo to the wedge of cheese. Believe it or not, it doesn't get... That's not the worst segment.
Well, I actually put it kind of picked up after this.
Okay.
For me, at least.
Fair enough. Well, the Cat and Fabulous Moolah have a segment. Cat's naked. She's getting ready for a match, I guess. And Moolah keeps doing sight gags where her arm covers her tits, and she has a pussy towel to cover her pussy.
It was
or
a
shirt,
sweater.
I'm sorry. And Cat asks for water, so Moolah can hand her 2 bottles of water that cover her tits. By the way, Austin Powers did that 3 years before this WrestleMania. But at least the cat was sexy.
That's what I wrote down. They did the Austin Powers stick.
Yeah. It wasn't even timely, though. I think the 4th Austin Powers movie was already out.
Didn't they? I mean, they did that in pretty much every Austin Powers movie at some point, though. But I can see why you say that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did it. They definitely did it in the first one with Austin, and then the second one with Elizabeth Hurley.
I thought the first... yeah, you're right. No, I thought they did 2 in the first one. I thought the first one was Austin, and then in the middle of the movie, that's when he's first shacking up with Hurley on their assignment. And at the end, I got your melons, Basil.
Oh, maybe you're right. I thought that was in the second one, though.
The second one, Liz Hurley turns into a fembot and tries to kill Austin Powers. And that's when Heather Graham comes into the picture.
Okay. I'll need to watch number 2 again. And then number 3 was Fat Bastard.
Yeah.
Number 4 was Gold Member.
Yeah. I might have to revisit those.
Gold.
Well, we have a tag team title match. Tag team title ladder match. And it's Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys. And before the match, Cole interviews the Dudley Boys. And really weird that no one looks at the camera, not once. Devon says the WWF has had it out for the Dudleys, and it's evident by putting them in this ladder match. Devon hates ladders, and he hates heights. But the Dudleys will remain the WWF Tag Team Champions. And Bubba Ray says that the Dudleys are taking WrestleMania and the ladder match to a whole new level of violence. And when the dust settles and the Dudleys are walking away with their titles, it'll be then that the Hardys and Edge and Christian realize that thou shalt not with the Dudleys. And Devon yells, testify.
Oh, my brother, testify.
And it's also worth noting that Devon was staring intently at Cole the entire interview.
Yes.
Edge and Christian kick the match off by attacking the Hardys when the Dudleys come out. Devon gets a Matt Hardy and a leg drop on the ladder, and Devon starts convulsing. And then Jeff Hardy tried to do a 450 splash to Bubba Ray, but missed. Landed on the ladder. Looked like it hurt a lot. I think he even screamed. It's like, ah! Can't say I blame him. Edge paid homage to Shawn Michaels by riding the ladder down to land on Matt Hardy. And Jeff Hardy climbed the ladder, and Edge climbed the top rope and speared Hardy off the ladder, which was a cool little spot. It's not the best ladder spear, but it's still a cool one. Matt Hardy does a sit-down Razor's Edge to Edge, which was kind of cool. It's probably a sit-down Splash Mountain. Bubba hit Christian with a 3D from the top of the ladder just before Bubba punched Christian square in the left ass cheek. Also, for some reason, they needed to set up 3 ladders for the spot. I don't get it. Like, it looked like he set it up on the wrong side. Said, oh shit, now I need to set up a 3rd ladder. Matt Hardy and Christian worked together to deliver a leg drop splash combination to Bubba Ray from the top of ladders. And Devon got suplexed from the top of a ladder by Edge and Christian. It seemed like really tame in comparison to the other spots we've seen so far. And everyone starts climbing a ladder. And then Christian and Jeff Hardy are the first to fall off their ladder to the outside of the ring. Then Edge pushes Bubba off his ladder, who falls into the ropes and uses the momentum to push the other 2 ladders down, which was pretty anticlimactic for them to all just climb up to fall.
Well, I mean, the first 2 who fell outside of the ring, they got
True.
The worst of it.
Yeah, you're right.
No table, no nothing. Just right outside the ring they go.
Well, Edge gets a proper 3D in the middle of the ring. Then the Dudleys say, get the tables! Then the Dudleys stand up 2 ladders and place a table on top of them. And then more tables get set up. Devon does a splash to Jeff Hardy through a table in the ring. Can't tell if Jeff rolled out of the way or not. Bubba set up a table in front of the Spanish announce desk and then power bombs Matt Hardy from the announce desk through a table. And Jeff Hardy tried to do some parkour shit, and Bubba just throws a ladder in his face. Bubba was the only one left standing, so he sets up a ladder in the middle of the entrance ramp instead of trying to win his the tag belts, which was really irritating. And Bubba gets yet another table, sets it up in front of the entrance ramp ladder, and it looks like Jeff Hardy is about to get it. But Christian makes the save with the ring bell. And somehow Bubba ends up on the table. Jeff climbs the ladder and hits Bubba with a swanton through the table. And then back in the ring, Matt Hardy hits Devon with a twist of fate. Matt and Christian start climbing ladders. By the way, the table's still placed on top of them. And Matt and Christian are punching each other on top of the ladder table thing. Then Edge climbs up behind Matt Hardy just as Matt grabs onto one of the title belts. And Edge pushes Matt off the ladder table into another table. And Edge and Christian grab the tag titles for the win. And Bubba's dumbass looks stunned for some reason.
Because he lost the titles.
He could have won them.
But the one big thing, my big takeaway, is the Dudleys are responsible. I mean, I knew it, but, actually seeing it, the Dudleys are the one responsible for the crowd nowadays being table thirsty.
Yeah.
And it was, because they came out with a table, and then the Devon, get the tables, and then I just remember that one. This isn't even about the pay-per-view right now, but I remember that one time they put Mae Young through the table, and he had that
orgasmic trance.
Yes.
He's just in an orgasmic trance.
Yeah, and he was just sitting there for the longest time, just
sick son of a bitch.
Yeah, he gets off. This wood gets him off. But yeah, I remember that. But this ladder match, I enjoyed it. This wasn't the one that I thought I had remembered.
Okay.
I think they do. I think they run it back, and there's I think it's they run it back. I remember there's like stacked tables, and so it gets even more hardcore than this. But this was a good ladder match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
And the Dudley Boys are. I was like, I've heard people say the Dudley Boys are like the best tag team in history, and yeah, just running it, seeing them back here, I can see why people said that now.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I was actually rooting for them.
I was too. I thought they were going to win.
Yeah. Well, some dude talks to Mick Foley and Linda McMahon. Dude says that this could be Mick's final WWF match. And Linda's happy to help Mick fulfill a lifelong dream of main eventing WrestleMania. Too bad she couldn't do the same thing for Punk. Mick says that this is the biggest match of the year, which is the biggest match in WWF history, which makes this the biggest match in WrestleMania history, which makes this the biggest match of his career. And Mick thanks Linda for a second opportunity to make a last impression. Mick hasn't main evented any other Manias, so I can only assume he's talking about his guest referee spot last year. And Mick says he wants people talking about this match 10 years from now, which, sorry, Mick.
This ain't the one.
Nope. They talk about the McMahon in every corner, and it's not in a positive light. Then Mick says that it's all like a fairy tale. Triple H, Rock, Big Show. Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you, but it won't. Tonight, and what could be the final match of my career, fairy tales will come true for me. Bang, bang. So Mick's hyped.
He sure is.
All right, let me... 1 second. Marlena with the Fabulous Moolah versus the Cat with Mae Young in a special cat fight. And Finkel explains that the first person to throw their opponent out of the ring and onto the floor will be victorious. And Val Venus comes out as the special guest referee. Val has a ref towel. There's a sign in the front row that says, May, please don't show your puppies.
You got let down.
Venus says that he has a lot in common with WrestleMania. Both are the largest extravaganza of all time. Both will get your blood pumping. But the only difference is WrestleMania comes once a year. Val Venus comes every single night. And Kat comes out with the best wrestling outfit ever. Mae Young slaps hands with the fans. Oh, Mae Young. The match starts with Marlena and the Cat fighting over who gets to hit on Venus. Venus separates the ladies, and Marlena says, oh, yeah? Well, I'm just going to smooch you. And, of course, Venus is into it. Then Venus sees the Cat, tosses Marlena to the mat, because I wouldn't blame him. And the Cat says, oh, yeah, I can be a whore, too. And starts laying it on Venus. And the Cat tells Marlena, how do you like that? Marlena grabs the Cat by the head, and unfortunately, they didn't kiss. I was kind of disappointed.
Speaking, by the way, I just want you to point out real quick when Howard Finkel, he said, this next match is a cat fight, and then the crowd like popped so much.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they're popping for a women's match. Imagine that.
Oh, this ain't a women's match.
I mean, it was. Again, context to the time when women were getting objectified, but I don't know why I put that in quotes. They were getting objectified. Very much so. But the crowd enjoyed it, and they popped for it. And I bet you they wasn't a piss break.
They applied for the job, and they took it. I don't know how much you can be objectified when it's a voluntary occupation. WCW still around, but oh wait, no.
We could probably ask some Hooters girls that question.
What's that?
I said maybe some Hooters girls can answer that question.
Maybe. Marlena does devil horns with her fingers to the crowd. And then Kat hits what they called a spear. And Mae Young, for no reason whatsoever, gets on the apron and tries to show everyone her tits. And Venus, rightfully using his referee powers, shuts that shit down. But while that happens, Kat throws Marlena out of the ring. But Venus never saw it. Kat yells at Venus, I just threw her out of the ring. Venus doesn't give a shit. May I swear to God, you stay there, don't move. Venus's priorities were in the right place. May chases Moolah in and out of the ring, then interferes in the match by pulling Marlena's hair. Then May kisses Venus. JR says May just stuck her tongue in the mouth of Venus. Kat throws Marlena out of the ring again, but May still has Venus locked in a smooch. Then Moolah drags the Cat out of the ring, throws Marlena back in. Venus sees this, or he sees Marlena alone in the ring and then rings the bell. So to recap, Kat and Marlena both kissed Venus. May distracted the referee twice and cost Kat, who she was supposed to be supporting, the match. Moolah interferes once and it helps her buddy Marlena win. May then attacks Moolah and Marlena from behind. Then she starts doing a slow old lady crotch chops to everybody. And then she hits Moolah with a slow old lady Bronco Buster. And JR says, that's the oldest Bronco Buster in captivity. Kat calls Marlena a stupid hussy and starts ripping her pants off. And finally, we get to see an ass worth looking at. And the Cat's music plays like the Oscars when they play somebody off. This was an embarrassment. I don't know what the fuck Mae Young was doing. She was running around like a fucking retard, just ruining everything.
Yeah, it was cluster. The best part of it was when they were setting up the match, JR said, what did you say? Oh, yeah, if you're one of the people who like scientific wrestling and you you judge your matches off star ratings, you might as well turn the page on this match. Well, I was like, oh, Meltzy was doing his thing back in 2000, huh? Unless he stole that gimmick.
Oh, he's been around for a while.
Oh, yeah, you said since like the 80s?
Yeah, well, I think longer than that, maybe.
But yeah, it was just funny that JR was like, if you're a wrestling purist who likes to judge your matches based off of star ratings, don't even watch this match.
Well, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn have a segment, and they're making their WrestleMania debut. Not sure if they're still called the Radicals.
They were.
Yeah, I know. I know now.
Oh.
I didn't know at the time I wrote that. Dean is currently the WWF lightweight champion. And he says it's Too Cool's final chapter. And they're going to break Too Cool's legs. And Eddie just wants to fuck China. And Perry says Eddie's not the only good looking guy in the group. But tonight they better win. Then Eddie says he's going to lay it all his Latino heat on China. China and Too Cool are watching everything. China vomits in her mouth. Brian Christopher says, don't worry about that. Tonight it's time to kick it. So the Radicals, Saturn, Malenko, and Guerrero, face Too Cool and China. China had a cannon, which is kind of cool. And I'm not going to lie, China would look pretty sexy here.
Yeah, she wasn't bad.
Eddie and Scotty 2 Hotty start the match. Eddie was winking at China and blowing kisses, and then he takes his shirt off and tosses it to her. Scotty 2 Hotty buries the moonwalk, and unfortunately, Malenko had to sell for China. Saturn takes Christopher's do-rag off that has braids affixed to it, and he puts it on and then starts stomping him. Eddie then attacks China from behind, and then slams her head into the ring post, illustrating what a relationship with a Latino man is all about. And then we saw the stupid worm. And then China gets tagged in while Eddie's the legal man. Eddie flees to his corner. Malenko and Saturn go for China. China hits them with a double clothesline. Then she tries to grab Eddie, who flees again. China takes out Saturn and Malenko with a right forearm. She scoop slams Saturn and Malenko. Then she does a handspring flip thing to Saturn, then to Malenko, while each man was in the corner. Then she gestures for both Saturn and Malenko to approach her in the middle of the ring so she can get down on both of her knees and kick them both in the dick. Skip to the end after that. China's team won. She eventually kicked Eddie's ass too. What the fuck?
I knew you weren't going to like that. She was basically took over the match when she got in.
My God.
Now, it did seem like they cut it short. Because she pins Eddie Guerrero off of a sleeper hold drop. But she's pretty heavily wardrobe malfunctioned here. Like her pants were just falling off. Like you could see crack.
Maybe she wasn't doing
even her panties
handspring
were falling
flips
off. Like no, her pants, they had like a circle, I don't know, a rivet that was holding the side, and that broke. So her pants were literally falling off, and then yeah, she was like holding her pants up and still doing all this shit.
Stupid.
And then she did the sleeper hold drop finish, and it just seemed like it was like, okay, my pants are I can't. I'm about to show people my thumb. I gotta get out of here.
Well, just put yourself in the place of Malenko, Saturn, and Guerrero. They were in WCW. They made a name for themselves. They got over, but they knew that very well that there was a glass ceiling because Hogan was everything. Hogan and the NWO were the priority, and the younger guys weren't. So they went to the WWF because they thought that they would get an actual chance to prove themselves as wrestlers. And their first fucking match, well, not their first match, but their first fucking WrestleMania, all three of them they're getting their ass whooped by China. And to spread salt in the wounds, she gets down on her knees in the middle of the fucking WWF ring and kicks both of them in the balls. If that is not like, we don't give a fuck about you, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that they did lose, especially that being their WrestleMania debut.
And it's clear that Eddie got to where he got in WWF because of Eddie and not because of any support from the company, because he was a part of that. He was getting his ass kicked by China too. He overcame.
He was. And Perry Saturn would go on to have a relationship with the Mop.
Yep.
And I think Dave Malenko just flat out just he just got kept off TV. He didn't even get a gimmick.
That's sad too, because Malenko's fucking awesome. Well, they had a segment where some white trash bitch and her husband won WrestleMania tickets. It was all expenses paid. It was her first plane ride. And I wonder if the champagne and strawberries were high end or if they went to Walmart to get something or something to get them.
Well, it's actually funny. I wrote down that I wrote down some white trash ass family got WrestleMania tickets.
There you go.
And then I actually did try to like Google them to see like, I wonder if they got out of the trailer park after that or if they're still in it. So I tried to Google them, but
winning WrestleMania tickets would make them successful?
I don't know. And there's like 800 people in their house too. And I'm not talking about the camera crew. I'm talking about the family. There's like 800 people in there.
Well, the Giant and Shane McMahon have a segment. Shane says Giant is the next champion. I'm not calling him the Big Show, by the way. Vinnie Mac and McMahon Helmsley dynasties are old news. Now the Giant is on Shane's side. Shane's mom is going to be collateral damage. And Giant says, tonight, the most electric man in sports entertainment gets unplugged. Foley will retire for good. And as far as Triple H goes, game over. Then Shane and Giant go their separate ways. Y2J, Chris Benoit, and Kurt Angle had a 2-fall triple threat match for the European and Intercontinental titles. And we learned that this match is Bob Backlund's fault. Backlund's mentoring Angle. He signed him up to defend both belts in one match. And Angle is rightfully pissed. He gets Backlund in a crossface chicken wing. Angle's then shown asking a very large man for extra security in exchange for Kurt Angle's autograph for the large man's children. The large man doesn't get to answer. And the first fall is for the Intercontinental title. And the second fall is for the European Championship. And Y2J comes out, says that he and everyone in the crowd have been waiting their entire lives for this moment. Y2J doesn't know if he's walking away with both belts, even one belt, but he guarantees he's walking out of wrestling, or out of this wrestling bout, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Y2J also guarantees that Kirk Angel, Byrne, and Mr. Roboto are walking away with bumps and bruises and a shirt that says, I visited Anaheim, and all I got was this lousy shirt and a Y2J beating that I will never, ever forget again. He's corny.
I was going to say, so he's starting his, his Jericho-isms. Which is, I like him.
I liked him, but I don't know. He just seems really corny to me. I liked him in WCW. We haven't really seen him we haven't seen like the list of Jericho and all that shit. And Rufus.
That's old Jericho. List of Jericho. You just made the list.
Well, no, there was a segment he had on Nitro where he had the scroll. I said it wrong. I said list of Jericho.
Oh.
But he had this big old scroll and he was listing all the holds he knew. Because he was trying to prove he knew more holds than Malenko.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I definitely remember. Well, I don't know about the scroll, but I do remember. Yeah, he was trying to prove that he knew more holds.
I thought it was crazy that this was all of their WrestleMania debuts. And it was an awesome match right out of the gate. All three came to play. And Angle stun gunned Jericho into the steel steps. And I wrote, Jesus Christ. Angle did a beautiful transition into a chicken wing on Jericho. And man, he's just fucking phenomenal. Benoit saves Jericho, tosses Angle out of the ring, then over the barricade. And Benoit hits a diving headbutt onto Jericho to win the Intercontinental title. And Angle gets crotched on the ropes by Jericho. And then Jericho follows Angle up top, but gets crotched by Benoit. Then Benoit gets a belly-to-back suplex on Jericho from the top rope. Angle tries to and fails to hit a moonsault on Benoit. And I'm glad they didn't have Benoit just German suplex both of them like they would do today.
I did think that's where they were going with that.
Same. And Jericho got Angle on the walls of Jericho, and I can't believe he had the audacity to use Benoit's move right in front of him. And Jericho almost decapitates Benoit with a spinning heel kick, and he hits a double power bomb onto Angle. When then Benoit grabs Jericho for a rolling German. Angle barely makes the save. And then Benoit hits a dragon suplex onto Angle. Angle clearly has his shoulders up, but the ref counts the pin anyway. JR takes this opportunity to bring up the controversial finish of the Hardcore Battle Royal, where Crash's shoulders were clearly on the mat and unmoved.
He couldn't let it go.
No, just give it a rest, JR. It's not happening. Jericho tries to. It's like he's almost convincing himself. I know I saw a controversial finish. Jericho tries to hit Benoit with a diving forearm, but he takes the ref out instead. And then Benoit locks Jericho in the crossface, which makes him tap out, but there's no ref. And Benoit tries to wake the ref up by screaming, "Ref! Ref!" and slapping him in the back of the head. This didn't work, by the way. And Jericho gets the walls of Jericho on Benoit. And I wrote, now the disrespect is so blatant. Angle nails Jericho with one of the title belts, and Benoit pulls Jericho out of the ring, then tries and fails to hit a diving headbutt to Angle. Jericho comes in with a lion salt to Benoit, 1, 2, 3. So after the match, Angle's pissed off that he lost both of his belts without losing a single fall. And I think he's still undefeated.
I don't know. But yes, he didn't get pinned here, so it could be.
It's a good match.
It was a good match. I was excited. I was like, wow, this is like, you write down like, a dream match. These are people who are going to be in it.
Right. And it's going to be a good match. Like, say what you want about Chris Jericho. Like, his matches are usually really good. Especially when he's in there with really good people.
Especially this Jericho.
Mm-hmm. He's got something to prove.
And I was thinking too, like he was presented because this was the Y2J, and like from what he was in WCW to now, like they did present him as like a big deal.
They did. Well, he was, if I remember correctly, he was one of the first to kind of. They were jumping to WWF from they were jumping to WCW from WWF quite often, but not too many people were going to the other way around. I know like the Big Boss Man did, but it's a Big Boss Man.
Yeah. This was
no
like
disrespect.
The big wave coming.
Right.
And then they had that whole thing about the Y2J, or I'm sorry, Y2K. And then did he debut on January 1st? I don't remember, but
I don't either.
I remember they did the countdown. Boom, boom.
Yeah, they did the teases for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was big from the get-go, which was even more disappointing with how you see they treated Perry and Malenko and Guerrero to begin with.
Yeah, he was definitely treated bigger than them. And
I don't think he was better than them.
Perry. Yeah, I don't know why they picked him ended up being him and Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
And, Chris Benoit,
Right.
And Saturn had a mop as a spouse.
Right.
So they really gave up on him.
They didn't even try.
Yeah.
Well, Cole's backstage with Vince McMahon, and Cole asks Vince if he's going to be a factor in the main event. And Vince says, "You bet your ass I am." But The Rock's confident with or without Vince McMahon being present. And Cole asks about the other McMahons being in the separate corners. And Vince says he doesn't agree with the dysfunctional label his family has been given, but he guaranteed to make it right tonight. And I guess Triple H and Stephanie were watching because Triple H says it's not about what's right. It's about who's the best. And Triple H says he's not losing because he's the game. He is that damn good. And Stephanie's panties get wet. Sweet potato pie. Road Dogg and X-Pac with Tori faced Rikishi and Kane with Paul Bearer, who is now Kane's father. They didn't really explain any of that,
and he slimmed up a little bit, so that's good for him.
Who's that?
Paul Bearer.
Oh, I didn't really notice.
Yeah, he's a little smaller.
Fair enough. And I guess DX are still a thing, even though Triple H hasn't mentioned them at all. And JR and Rikishi, or JR says Rikishi will back that ass up. And before the match starts, Bearer tells Tori that she can go to hell with his hands on his hips. And then Tori slaps Bearer, and then he says he should kick her ass. And Road Dogg stink-faced right away. And Tori gets in the ring for no reason with Rikishi. She sees Rikishi, falls on her ass, and then scoots into the corner. But X-Pac saved her from the stink face. And X-Pac hit a Bronco Buster on Rikishi after neutralizing him with his karate.
Big karate this time.
And we learned that Jesse the Body Ventura is the governor of Minnesota at this time. Thanks to JR. And Kane's a big motherfucker.
He is. And John, too.
Yeah, I think he's bigger than Undertaker. Not like height-wise, but like girth and
thickness.
Yeah, he looks like a big fucking red monster. Bearer snatches Tori and throws her in the ring. Kane snatches her for a choke slam, but thinks twice about it and throws her roughly into the corner. Rikishi, who has failed to shove the faces of both Tori and X-Pac in his ass all match, gets the nod. And Tori is finally stink-faced. X-Pac gets a tombstone by Kane, 1, 2, 3. And we learn that Kane finally got his revenge. And after the match, Too Cool come out to celebrate with Kane and Rikishi. And Brian Christopher and Scotty 2 Hardy start clapping, and the crowd claps. Then a goddamn chicken comes to the ring, and everyone assumes it's Pete Rose. Chicken starts clapping too, with Too Cool. And then Too Cool get the sunglasses for Rikishi. Rikishi, Too Cool, and the chicken start dancing. After the dance, Kane, who has been standing unmoving in the corner the entire time, just attacks the chicken. And Pete Rose comes from behind Kane with a baseball bat, but is saved by Rikishi. And Kane choke slams Pete Rose. For some reason, Paul Bearer does DX crotch chops to and then Too Cool grabs and drags an unconscious Pete Rose into the corner so Rikishi can give him a stink face as well. And then Bearer high fives everyone. And Kane leaves with Rose's bat. Then he stops, shakes his head, gets back in the ring so he can do his pyro. Then he leaves. And the biggest disappointment I have is at no point did they address how Kane and Rikishi became a team.
They sure didn't.
Like, how the fuck does this dancing fuck team with the big red monster?
Who's still going through it at this time.
Right.
But I am glad because, when they started to do the Too Cool dance part, the crowd started chanting for Kane. And I was like, please don't have him dance.
Right. I thought
not yet. Well, the crowd wanted it, but yeah, he was just standing there watching the whole just awkwardly watching the whole thing.
Well, after that, The Rock is interviewed, and the fat ass interviewing The Rock says it's time. The Rock holds up his hand, says 12 long months. After everything thrown at The Rock, after everything, The Rock is thrown right back. The Rock says if he can do it all over again, he will say, finally, The Rock has come back to WrestleMania. Rock says it's not about the glitz and the glamour. It's not about Stephanie being married to Triple H. It's not about McMahon family bullshit. It's not about Foley's retirement. It sure as hell ain't about the Big Show. It's about the WWF Championship. Rock says if he can sweat and bleed, then he can go out and lay the smackdown on everyone's candy asses. Because tonight is the night. John Coffey, Martin Short, and Screech from Saved by the Bell were filmed in the crowd. Cool.
Screech not being Screech is still weird to me.
Yeah. Oh, he ain't gonna be Screech.
Yeah, I know about the... he really doesn't turn into Screech, but...
Yeah. Mick Foley with Linda McMahon versus The Giant with Shane McMahon versus The Rock with Vince McMahon versus Triple H with Stephanie McMahon in a fatal 4-way for the WWF Championship. And Linda brought Foley to WrestleMania because it was the right thing to do. And Foley is also an author now. And Triple H does his water bottle spit thing, which I thought first time we see that, I think.
Yeah,
Rock, Triple H, and Foley briefly join forces to whoop on the Giant, and Rock runs into the ropes, and Shane trips him. Rock socks Shane, and then Foley nails Giant with a chair. Rock hits Giant with a rock bottom 1, 2, 3. Those WCW guys are making a good showing this pay-per-view, aren't they? Giant calls Vince a son of a bitch on his way out. And then it's Foley versus The Rock versus Triple H. And then Triple H tries to form an alliance with Foley. And Foley says, no way, man. Then Triple H tries to form an alliance with The Rock, who was just standing there the whole time Triple H tried to form an alliance with Foley. But The Rock says, okay. But sucker punches Triple H when he turns his back. So Rock and Foley double team Triple H. Foley tosses Rock a ring bell to use on Triple H. Naturally, The Rock ends up hitting Foley instead. And Triple H gets the advantage by whooping on The Rock. And Foley grabs a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, but Triple H kicks him in the dick and steals it. Rock saves Foley after Triple H only hits him once with the 2x4. I think he only hit him in the gut. Oh, only hit him in the gut. He only hit him in the gut with barbed wire, pussy.
Yeah.
Foley gets the mandible claw on Triple H, and Rock tells Foley to toss Triple H his way so he can nail him with the title belt. Rock attempts to go for a people's elbow, but Foley, like a dumb fuck, gets Rock in the mandible claw. And Triple H ends up hitting both men in the dick. And Vince slides the chair into the apron, seemingly for The Rock to use. Foley got Rock with the butterfly DDT. And JR called it a double arm suplex. And Foley ends up picking up the chair Vince slid in, but Rock kicks it into Foley's face. Foley finally forms an alliance with Triple H against The Rock. Foley and Triple H double team The Rock for a while. They set The Rock up on the Spanish announce desk, and Foley climbs the top rope and dives and misses The Rock by like a couple inches. Jared's like, hey, crushed a sternum. Triple H tried to save it by elbow dropping The Rock on the announce table. Of course, the table didn't break. Triple H says, fuck it, and climbs the barricade, delivers another elbow drop, and the announce desk grudgingly falls over in the safest way possible. Some idiot tried to start a holy shit chant. Triple H breaks the alliance with Foley by hitting him in with a pedigree for 2 in the middle of the ring. And Triple H smacks Foley in the head with a chair. Triple H delivers another pedigree to Foley on the chair. And Linda said, oh, God, no. And Triple H pins Foley while JR screams, you can do it, Mick. And Triple H ends Foley's evening and possibly his career. And Foley makes the leave. He's holding his arms up to the crowd. They're cheering and thanking him. Linda's patting Foley on the back, saying, you tried your best. That's all I can ask. Foley then stops, turns his head to the ring with a twinkle in his eye, and he goes back the way he came. And he finds the 2x4 wrapped with barbed wire. He gets in the ring and nails Triple H in the face with it. Then he leaves. So it's down to Triple H and The Rock. They eventually fight their way up the entrance ramp. Then they fight their way through the crowd. Rock tosses Triple H over the barricade ringside. Some little twerp tries to tell The Rock to stay still so he can take a picture. Rock tries to use the stairs on Triple H, but Triple H counters with a steel chair. And Triple H does a pile driver on the steel steps. And JR's like, he's only 27. He'll fight again. Stop the match. That's enough. And Triple H drags Rock's dead weight into the ring and makes the cover. And JR says, he can't even defend himself. This match needs to be stopped.
Speaking of 27, though, just real quick.
Yep.
They also pointed out that Mick Foley was only 34.
Wow.
That was a jarring number to hear, since he looks like he's 50.
So the Triple H drags The Rock into the ring, makes the cover, but The Rock gets his shoulders up. And then Rock goes for a rock bottom, but Triple H counters it into a pedigree. Then The Rock dumps Triple H's ass out of the ring. They fight outside through the crowd again. Triple H dumps The Rock over the barricade, and a stupid fan tries to get in Triple H's face. Triple H grabs the stupid hat the fan is wearing and tosses it. Tosses it by the ring, so he can't get it. He's got to ask security who will ignore him. Can I have my hat? Shut up. Then they fight on the floor for a while, and then Vince and Stephanie, they look on concerned. Rock suplexes Triple H through the real announce table and exploded into smithereens. And Triple H throws The Rock into the ring. Vince starts throwing hands. Then he rams Triple H into the ring post. Starts wailing on Triple H. Then Shane decks Vince from behind and puts him through the already destroyed announce desk. Which is weird. And Shane nails Vince in the head with the monitor, and Stephanie just stares wide-eyed and slack-jawed. And Hebner starts yelling at Shane, and Shane says, I do what I want. And Vince manages to get up. He has a murderous look on it for Shane, and he starts to whoop Shane's ass. And Shane hits Vince in the dick, nails him with a chair, and then he bows up to John Coffey, who says, come on, I want you to do it, come on. I wouldn't fuck with John Coffey. And Patterson and Briscoe help a busted open Vince to his feet. Meanwhile, The Rock and Triple H remember that they're wrestling, and they start to get back to it. Triple H hits The Rock with the barbed wire 2x4. Shane gets in the ring with a chair and leaves it ambiguous as to who he's going to hit. Rock then sends Triple H into Shane. Rock hits Triple H with a rock bottom, and Shane gets to his feet, makes to go after Hunter. Vince comes running back, gets in the ring, punches Shane in the testicles, and then slaps him. And Vince slaps Shane again, and then sends him head over ass outside the ring. Vince then grabs Shane's chair as The Rock and Triple H get to their feet. Vince goes to nail Triple H, but changes course at the last second, hits The Rock in the face with the chair. Stephanie looks on in shock. Triple H slowly crawls to cover The Rock. Shane is fucked. He won't be making a difference anytime soon. And Hebner starts yelling at Vince while Vince just grins at him. And Vince then tells ringside to hand him the belt while Triple H makes the cover. But The Rock kicks at it too. Vince picks up the chair and nails Rock in the head again. Triple H makes the cover 1, 2, 3. Vince kicks The Rock out of the ring, then hugs Stephanie. Then trash starts flying. And Shane... They don't throw trash anymore, man.
Yeah, I don't know if they're allowed to.
Probably not, because they're pussies. Shane gets in the ring and is like, you hit me, Dad. And Vince is like, well, you hit me. And The Rock comes to see, or he comes to, sees what's going on. Then he heads back to the ring. Shane tries to head The Rock off, but he gets rock bottom. Rock then whoops on Vince, nails him with a rock bottom. Stephanie goes to tend to her father, and The Rock stops and just stares at her. Stephanie sees The Rock staring at her and starts yelling at him. Then Stephanie gets in The Rock's face and slaps him. So Stephanie gets rock bottom. JR says, the whole damn McMahon family have been rock bottom straight to WrestleMania, all the way to hell. And someone's shoes are in the ring. So, I rewound it. I didn't see Vince or Shane lose a shoe. So that means somebody threw a fucking shoe in the ring.
Yeah, they didn't think that one out. Guess what they're going to do now?
Well, unless they took somebody else's shoe.
Oh, that'd be a good move.
Yeah.
Hey, let me see your shoe. Then you throw it.
I'm gonna do something real quick.
What the fuck?
Oh, what are you gonna do? Rock then hits Stephanie with the people's elbow. Man, she was sexy. And Rock leaves, and Mania ends with the McMahons dismantled. And this also marks the first time a heel has won the WrestleMania main event.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Guess it was going to happen at some point. But that's crazy that it took this long.
Yep. But that was WrestleMania 2000. And after, The Rock continued to feud with Triple H over the title belt. And Rock actually beat Triple H in a non-title match. And the following week, Rock defeated Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan in a handicap steel cage match. After which the Triple H, Shane, and Vince McMahon attacked The Rock. And I guess he bled a lot. So later, it was announced that The Rock would face Triple H for the championship belt at Backlash, which The Rock won, with the help from Stone Cold Steve Austin and Linda McMahon. Also, the next Raw after WrestleMania, Eddie Guerrero defeated Chris Jericho to win the European Championship with the help from China. China turned on Jericho to align herself with Guerrero.
His Latino heat finally worked.
Yep. And Crash Holly won the Hardcore Championship from Hardcore Holly. And that is, our Wrestling Rewind.
Overall, pretty good second half of the pay-per-view.
I was expecting to hate the whole thing from top to bottom, but it was entertaining. It's not something I would go back and watch again.
Yeah. Now, I do remember that the logo... Well, I remember the WrestleMania 2000 game. Like the video game in 64. So, it brought back some memories there. But, yeah, from after the first two matches, after the hardcore match, really, it picked up for me.
Well, I'd say the obvious match of the night for me would be the triple threat match for both belts.
I would actually put it on the triple threat title, the tag title match.
All right.
But, as always, before we skedaddle, before the lights come on and the roaches scatter, got a little bit of news. We don't have to go in too much depth because there's not too much depth to it, but it is some stuff worth mentioning as I get there. So, Drew Gulak, he has officially been fired. Well, no, I'm sorry. He didn't get fired. He got
released.
And he didn't even get released, really. So Triple H... Actually, we'll come back to that story because there's more development there. Let's start off with the breaking news because that's a lot easier. Breaking news. WrestleMania is going to Vegas. So during Backlash, they teased that there was going to be this big announcement a WrestleMania announcement during the Kentucky Derby. And if you were foolish enough to sit through it, which I wasn't, they announced that, like, come on, I'm not watching the Kentucky Derby. But they announced that WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas next year.
Cool.
Yes, that is what I was hoping for.
Although if you were paying attention to Undertaker's podcast, he kind of ruined that already.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last rumor I heard was that they were going to Minneapolis. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, it was
It was like ain't shit to do up there.
right. Well, my understanding is that Minneapolis was locked in, and then they just kind of said, never mind. We got a bigger venue.
Yeah. So yeah, they are going to Vegas. Hopefully, I'll be able to go. We'll just say that.
Okay.
I was waiting on them to go to Vegas, and they have officially announced it. So hopefully, I'll be able to go. We'll see how long it takes until like the if there's some time before the tickets release. Try to get a ticket, and guess what? You guys are going to pay for it. And all you got to do so is watch the videos.
There you go.
And maybe you can throw some super chats and stuff. But yes, we're going to Vegas, as in WrestleMania, and hopefully I'll get to go, and it'll be a fun time. There's a lot to do in Vegas. The other thing, let's talk about it. Drew Gulak, because there's a lot of layers to this little onion. The headline and the title is going to be Drew Gulak got fired over a drawstring. Now, to walk it back a little bit, he didn't get fired. He got released, is what the latest things were saying. And then to walk that even back further, he didn't get released. According to Triple H, he just didn't get his contract renewed. So his contract expired and they just didn't pick it up. That's according to Triple H.
Was he prominent?
Drew Gulak? No.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility that they wouldn't have re-signed him anyway?
I mean, maybe to like be a coach or like a trainer, because that's from what people were saying, he was doing a lot of training for like the younger NXT crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe they could have just signed him as a trainer, but seemingly the Drew. And if you don't know about the drawstring thing, apparently he touched Ronda Rousey's drawstring on her sweatpants, which were outside of her pants for some reason. Because drawstrings usually go inside the pants of sweatpants, but she was walking around with her drawstring outside the sweatpants. He accidentally touched it, or maybe he didn't accidentally touch it. He touched it, and now he doesn't have a job. So that's the Ronda Rousey story. But one thing we can confirm is they both did say something about the drawstring being touched. So
there was contact with the drawstring.
Yes. So that is for sure. He confirmed it. He said, speaking of which, imagine. So, okay, she says the story, right? Oh, he touched my drawstring. Okay, maybe that's traumatic for her. And then he had to come out on social media and is like, well, 4 years ago, I met Ronda Rousey and I went to shake her hand and I accidentally touched her drawstring. Like, imagine having to hold that in your brain for that damn long.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I touched her drawstring, but this was the exact scenario that happened. Like, why do you have to hold on to that?
Well, I mean, he was interacting with Ronda Rousey, who was at the time pretty big before she fizzled even more.
But you remember, you hold on to the drawstring part, especially if it's like what he said and he brushed against it as he was going to shake her hand. Like, I wouldn't remember that. Like, if it were me, it would be like, I don't know.
Well, she made a big deal. She said she made a big deal about it. So,
so maybe
if that's the case, that part. Yeah, like, oh, that bitch. I remember what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So yeah, a lesson to everybody out there: don't touch drawstrings, and also a lesson: keep your drawstring inside the pants, which is where it's supposed to be.
Well, everybody apparently hated Rhonda, so
There's that too. Now there's another addition to this story. So Triple H during the Backlash presser, he was asked about it. This is where we got the fact that he said that the contract expires and we just didn't renew it. So he was asked about it, and the quote that everybody seems to be upset over is he says. So the reporter asked him about the Drew Gulak thing, and he says, first of all, if you're going to quote a news source, pick a good one. I'd start there, or at least a credible one. And yeah, so the guy who asked, he directly like brought up Fightful and PW Insider.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, so now Triple H is catching heat because he said that they're not credible.
Because he said the people's favorite stupid websites aren't for him.
Yeah, because he said they're not credible, and everybody's jumping to defend Fightful. And I mean, I don't know too much about PW Insider. I know more about Fightful.
I think that's Wade Keller. He was on Stone Cold's podcast every now and then.
Okay. But yeah, everybody's jumping to defend. Oh, Fightful, they get more right than they get wrong, and they're one of the more credible sources in the industry. Well, in this whole dirt sheet thing. So
it's dumb. I think wrestling journalism's stupid to begin with.
Oh, you're a journalist. You're a journalist. Remember that.
No, I'm not.
Yep.
We don't break news. We don't cover news.
We just broke WrestleMania.
What's that?
I said we just broke WrestleMania.
We didn't break WrestleMania.
We broke it.
All we do is talk about shit that's interesting to us. We're not a credible news source. If anybody thinks that we are, they're stupid.
There you go. We are not the news. But on that note, if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments below. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments below. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get us to 500 subscribers. And is there anything else?
Just have a good night.
Have a good night, and happy Cinco de Mayo, if that's your thing.